morning, everybody. Woo! How about this gorgeous May day, right? And then we're celebrating the first TEDx event in the state of Indiana, and you guys are all a part of this. This is amazing. My name is Lisa Hall, and I have the distinct privilege and honor of living, see, I get all teary. I get to live in this incredible community, a community where people collaborate and they invest in one another. And it is so special to live in Brown County, and we're so glad. How many visitors do we have from coming to Brown County today that don't live here? If you're a visitor, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for making your way here, and we welcome you. We welcome our educators, our friends, our families, and what a day we have planned for you. Look to your neighbor right now and say, get ready to be inspired. All right, and then one last thing, give them a fist pump. All right, you guys. I know this from my own experience that when you create a new event, a new initiative, the only way it can be successful is to have a champion. And we have a champion for TEDx in our community, and her name is Emily Tracy. Emily is our superintendent, and it's my honor to introduce her to you today. She has served as director of curriculum and instruction. She's been an elementary principal. She's been a K-5 assistant principal. Proud of second and fourth grade teachers throughout Indiana because you have her heart. She earned her degree from Indiana State University, and on top of all she does in this county, she's a current PhD student of education leadership at the Indiana State University as well. She is a certified trainer for the process communication model and a member of the Indiana Principal Leadership Institute. Are you kidding me? Emily became a licensed TEDx host and will be hosting this event for you today. She fought hard, you guys. She was told no, I think a minimum of 6 times. And Emily persisted with the TEDx folks and was committed to allowing our children to have a voice in this community. And because of her persistence, she got the okay, and all of that is a result, results in what you see here today. I wanted to let you know that we will be having a break for you to go to the bathroom. You can get refreshments and bring them back in. So please try to stay seated while our speakers are delivering their TEDx talk. And then we'll let you take a break. Probably it'll be right on time. So as I said, Emily is our champion, and she enjoys a challenge. And I just have to share with you that she loves sharks. And she would have been a marine biologist had she not become an educator. And so I don't know about you, but I'm thankful she chose education. I'm thankful she landed in Brown County. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to our champion, Emily Tracy.
Thank you so much. Lisa, thank you so much for those kind words of support. It means the absolute world to me. Welcome to TEDx Brown County Schools. Yes, my name is Emily Tracy, and I am the incredibly proud and grateful superintendent for this school district. As a superintendent, I give a lot of messages to our teachers, to our staff members, and one of them every single Monday is to take a second and enjoy the moment. So my goodness, can we enjoy this moment? Because today we're doing something really, really big. Today, we are celebrating and we are elevating student voice.
There are over 2 billion school-aged individuals living in the world today. That's more young people than any other time in human history. And it's this generation's creativity, their actions, their art, their poetry, their protests, their questions, their code, their dreams. It's this generation's ideas that will define the future of our world. One well-articulated idea can reach and inspire millions. That's why TED's Youth and Education Initiative, TED-Ed, has created a program that's dedicated to sparking and celebrating the best ideas of young people around the world.
The essence of TED-Ed was to create more confident individuals.
It was our club. It was run by us and it was for us.
The program is called TED-Ed Clubs. It supports students in identifying their passions, learning public speaking skills, connecting with a global network of classrooms, and sharing student ideas in the form of short, TED-style talks. Here's how it works. Participating students and teachers gain access to a free and flexible curriculum they can use to start a TED-Ed club at their school. Each suggested meeting uses TED Talks to help students engage in critical thinking exercises and gain invaluable presentation skills. In the final meeting, students are invited to give their own TED Talk, and if they record their talk, they can upload it to TED-Ed's award-winning platform, where it can be referenced on a resume, a college application, and shared with participating clubs around the world. Over 2 billion young people empowered and encouraged to share their ideas. Imagine that future and bring TED-Ed clubs to your community today.
So, in our journey towards 2 billion kids, today we get to share our TED-Ed journey. You know, this is a big stage, and just right before I walked out here, I looked back to see all of our kids backstage eagerly waiting, and our first speaker looked at me and said, "You got this." Today is a day in the making for me personally for 5 years. 5 years ago, I got the opportunity to meet one of my educational giants. His name's David Miyashiro, and he's a superintendent of a public school district in San Diego, California. And 5 years ago, and every year since then, I got to see David Miyashiro and his team inspire kids and empower kids to put their voice on a global stage. Today, we are doing that here in Brown County. It is pretty incredible. It is a relentless pursuit of mine to help people, big and small, young and old, truly believe that they can do incredibly big things in this world. And we have 11 of them here today that are doing something incredibly big. I will also say, when we are on that pursuit to do really big things, we are often faced with roadblocks and challenges and mountains. And Lisa spoke up here just a few minutes ago about how many times we heard no on our specific TED-Ed journey. We didn't push the pause button. We've decided to press play. I hope you enjoy the show.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to TEDx Brown County. TEDx Brown County is where we celebrate ideas worth living. My name is Cole Lewis, and I am a teacher at Brown County High School, where I teach United States history as well as world history.
And I'm Ella Schultz, a junior at Brown County High School. We are absolutely thrilled to have you all here with us today. Are you ready for an incredible day of inspiring talks?
We have a fantastic lineup for you guys today of both student and adult speakers that are challenge your mindset, ignite your creativity, and maybe even change your perspective on the world.
That's right. Today's theme is Just Press Play, and each talk will explore this theme in a unique and thought-provoking way. We are all in for a treat.
But before we dive into the talks, let's take a moment to just appreciate those TEDx leaders, sponsors, as well as volunteers here today. Without you guys, none of this would even be possible. So let's give them a round of applause, please.
Absolutely. And a special thank Thank you to all of you, our audience. Your presence is what makes TEDx so special.
So without further ado, let's get started.
Scarlett Record, a 4th grade student from Helmsburg Elementary School, is passionate about her love for the outdoors. She chose this topic because she feels happy and peaceful when she is outside in nature. Scarlett wrote her TED Talk, Get Up and Get Out of Here, to persuade others to spend more time outside so that they can experience the peacefulness and happiness she feels when she is outside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Scarlett Record.
Imagine you were watching an ad about how to improve your health, and it was asking you, do you want to feel better? Do you want to improve your health? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to feel better? Well, it's only for just $25.99, and it can be yours if you call this random number or visit your local store. Well, what if I told you you could have all of that for free? What if I told you I know a way to help with all these things? The answer to these problems could be right outside your front door. Yep, that's right. All you have to do is get out and get out inside in nature. Being in nature is proven to relieve stress. Get outside and take a walk. When you move your body, you will produce endorphins that help you feel good. Exposure to sunlight impacts and improves your body's serotonin levels. According to doctors, a lack of enough serotonin is thought to play a role in depression, anxiety, mania, and other health conditions. Fresh air and sunlight provide mood-boosting effects and can improve your mental health. Research also shows that people who live in an area near parks and places with green spaces have less mental distress. Have you looked around? Look at where we live. We have the state's largest state park right in our backyard. We have green spaces all around us. Many of them are free to visit and take advantage of. Being outside in nature is also proven to help your memory. One study reports that our bodies relax in an environment mostly covered in green. Another study suggests that spending time outdoors can improve cognitive function and further improve your memory. A University of Michigan study found that performance and attention spans improved by 20% after individuals spend an hour of time interacting with nature. Spending time in nature can also lower the risk of depression and improve your concentration. It helps our minds and bodies relax. Being outside can also boost your immunity. Did you know that spending time outdoors is a proven way to boost your immune system? Some of the airborne chemicals that plants produce have antibacterial and antifungal properties. Our bodies respond to these chemicals by increasing our white blood cells. These are essential for fighting off viruses and infections. In a Japanese study, researchers found that the effects of the white blood cells produced during a 3D nature trip lasted over 30 days. Also, while spending time outdoors and in sunlight, your body will naturally soak up more vitamin D and essential nutrients that strengthens the immune system. Another benefit of being outdoors is burning calories for a healthier life. Being outdoors encourages movement and exercise. A National Library of Medicine study shows that increased time spent outdoors could result in more active lifestyles and inspire people to just move their bodies. Does it hurt too much to exercise? Getting outside could help with that too. All this research proves that getting outside to our overall mental and physical health is very good for us. And it also proves that we are not spending enough time outside. The reasons behind this trend are different, but no matter the reason, this is alarming. If you want to be happy and healthier and would like to try something other than taking the latest quick fix advertised on your TV, give nature a try. What are you waiting for? Just press play. Get up and get out of here and don't listen to a goofy commercial.
Oh my gosh, how many of us in 4th grade would have been able to stand there so poised while she's waiting on adults to figure out technology? Well, I have a great pleasure to introduce you to Miss Rika, who is our German exchange student and has been in Brown County this last school year. She is full of energy, enthusiasm, like you've never seen before. And Rika has not wasted her time here. She participates in the yearbook. She's a member of our girls' basketball, tennis teams, and this makes me feel so ashamed of myself. She speaks 3 languages. So Rika is a junior German exchange student. She connects with others in really extraordinary ways, and she loves and wants to travel the world. She shares the humorous, heartwarming, and insightful experiences that travel can bring. I know you're going to be completely engaged with Rika, so help me to warmly welcome her right now to the stage for your second talk.
Hi. Welcome in the Music Center of Brown County. My name is Rike Kugler. And at first, I think I should start with the basic facts about me. I don't know if you could hear it, but I'm not from the United States. I'm from Germany. I know it's unbelievable because I have this typical American accent, but fun aside, I was born and raised in Germany. I lived my whole life there, and then, 2 years ago, I told my parents I would like to do an exchange here. My parents are very nice people, and big supporters said yes. That was my start. My parents, very supportive, and intentionally taught me how to be independent. So they told me if I want to do an exchange here, I have to prepare everything I need for it. By the way, there are so many programs and organizations that is crazy, and sometimes chaotic. When I told people I want to do an exchange here, they often asked me why. Why I want to do an exchange here and living with total strangers together. That is a good question. I mean, it sounds scary and crazy. Going to another country, even another continent, was for me like entering another world. To get to know another country, you have to be open for new and sometimes unusual things. Most people who know me know that I'm a bit crazy and just sometimes a bit weird. What only few people about me know is that I love to see new things. I always want to go to the US and so many other places. I would say my biggest inspiration were my parents, in particular my father. He lived and studied 2 years in Kingston, Rhode Island at the university. My mom came visit him during this time. Every story that they told me gave me more and more inspiration for what I wanted to do. The sound from their voices and how they talked about it, every picture that they showed me pushed me more and more toward what I wanted to do. I wanted something like this, and here I am. I've been to other countries before. Germany is a small country surrounded by other countries, so that made traveling very easy. I saw early the benefits from learning and speaking different languages. In my childhood, we often went to Sweden. In my family, we all can speak different languages, but Swedish is not one of them. English was the choice of communication during our vacations. The people in Sweden speak very good English. That's because of the TV. Sweden has a lot of space but a small population, so the TV programs aren't translated. so they learned English. I would say, around 10, 11 when we went to Sweden over summer break. As usual, we rent this cute little house near the water. What is not hard because Sweden has a lot of rivers and lakes. My sister and I went down to the lake in our neighborhood. There was mostly locals, what was not unusual, but this time we met someone. She was in her 60s and spoke very good German. She asked us where we came from since we spoke so good German. We told her we are from Germany and on vacation. So her German was excellent. So I asked her how she learned so good German. She told me she was a teacher for English and German on a local high school. So we talked a bit about the difference from our school system and how they function and look like. Meeting her and speaking with her is one of these events I never forget. She taught me something, not just how school works in Sweden. No, she taught me something more important. When you talk to people who live in another country and not just visit it, you can learn so much more. As a child, I did not really understand what she gave me, but today I can see it. I think it's one of these moments that influence our life subconsciously and influence our life forever in a way we never would expect. My first time in America was overwhelming. I cannot say any other words. I've never been to the United States before. Most images I had in my mind came from movies and series. However, nothing came close to the reality. I spent my first couple days in New York City during my orientation days. New York is a crazy, fascinating, and overwhelming city. You can find around 800 different languages and 3,800 different ethnies and cultures. Each one of them influenced the city and the people that live there in their own way. You might ask me now why. Why do I need to go to another country if I just can go to New York? American, you have a unique opportunity. You have the chance to explore different languages and cultures in your own home country. The privilege of living in the United States is that your country is big. It's based historically on immigration and the cultures and languages that came with them. I have a quote from one of my favorite series, Blue Bloods, that says something we as humans often forget or too afraid of to admit. You don't need to understand your culture or traditions to respect them. It catched my attention because it speaks to the fact that we should have respect for something we do not understand. Which is unusual. We as humans have this bad habit that we like to change, or in some cases, to ignore things we do not understand. The problem that came with this bad habit is that we often miss something that could change our angle, how we see things, or open our horizon more. I did also an exchange year with my Spanish class in 8th grade to Valencia, Spain. One of my classmates and I stayed with my Spanish exchange family. One day, we went on a boat ride and afterwards to this very cute little restaurant. My host family ordered dinner for us. I had no clue what it was. I think it was paella with seafood and something else. Actually very good. But there was a problem. I usually eat on seafood. But I have this rule. I always try new things, whatever it is, before I say I don't like it. So my classmate from Germany doesn't have this rule. She didn't try the food because it seemed strange. Unfortunately, I saw the reaction from my host family. They were disappointed over that. I really could see it in the face and eyes. I tried it and it was good, I mean, really good. It didn't change my opinion over seafood. I still don't like it. But all in all, I was so pleased that they ordered for me and that I could have this experience. I wouldn't change the world. I never forget what it taught me. You don't need to like everything, but you have to try it before you can say no. In particular, if you go to another country. I learned and explored so many new things over the time I traveled around. And I'm sure I will learn so much more. If you go to another country or even another state, you have to be independent. Be responsible for your own doing and the following consequences. That can be very scary, in particular if you're young and you've never been away from home, or in my case, never alone. But it helps us. I see it now. My exchange here changed and formed me in a way I never would expect before. My personality and character are influenced by every single person I met and talked to over the time I'm here. Young people are informed. We get our first shape in our childhood from parents, guardians, and family. Later, if we go to elementary and high school, teachers like Ms. Pontius or Ms. Condra give us education and the base for our future. We learn how to write, how to calculate, and ways of thinking. They help us to find what way we want to do. We spend around 5% of our lifetime in school. 5% that helps us to find what we want to do, how we do things. But what is after this time? We learn new things every day. How we react or work with this new information depends on us. Having an open mind for views and angles and opinions from others can create and influence us in a way we often wouldn't expect. Today, it is easier than ever before to travel around, to learn new languages, to influence people all over the world and be influenced from them. More and more people, young people, doing gap or exchange here, or one of these dozen other possibilities, they are open today. The question is why? Why they do this? Maybe it's for the experience, the free time, or they are just uncertain about the future. For me personally, I choose an exchange here. And the reason why is easy. I want to know, is high school in America like High School Musical? Just kidding. No. I like the movies, but no. I want to do an exchange here because I saw the opportunity to learn and see different cultures and traditions and varieties of a new place. As a student, I have actually a unique opportunity to see how school looks like in America and how it shaped the people, a future generation of a country. Knowing the traditions and cultures and beliefs from people all over the world can help us to understand people's reaction and thinking. If we speak to people in their own language, with respect for their culture and traditions, they will answer us with the same respect. We can learn so much more from each other. It could change how we or others see the world. So I ask you to bring this mindset every time you go to another country or meet new people. It will change your view of people and open your horizon more. So, thank you. Thank you for your attention and your time. I hope you find some inspiration in my words for your own dreams.
Our next speaker has made significant strides in the field of education. Since 2016, she has been both an assistant professor for graduate and undergraduate students at Butler's University of College of Education.
Prior to her work at Butler, she was an assistant professor at Marian University, where she founded the Educational Neuroscience Symposium. Her work has been pivotal in the use of neuroscience in education.
Her passion is engaging her students through social and relational neurosciences and then applying those practices to her educational practices. I apologize.
Please join us in welcoming our next speaker, Dr. Lore De Santos.
It is such an honor to be sitting beside all of you this morning. And as my PowerPoint is going to be pulled up here hopefully in a moment, I want to think about behavior. If you could define behavior, what would that be? How would you define behavior? This is what I study. I want you to take a look at this body of water. We really don't see much here other than an aerial view of the beautiful blue surface. We don't know how it came to be. We don't know how it evolved. We're not sure of the environment that supports it. We see just an image that we don't understand and we don't really take in. This is what we're going to be talking about today. The title is Diving Beneath Behaviors, a journey through our nervous systems. A behavior is something that a person does that can be observed, it can be repeated, it can be assessed. But there's so much more. I work in the schools 2 days a week, and I want to share this definition that came to me after I left my 5th grade class. So I'm teaching graduate students at Butler. I'm traveling around the world integrating applied educational neuroscience. But the most important work I do is in the K through 12 or pre-K through 12 classroom. And I want to read this to you because this is really what we miss. We miss the mark here. A child's behavior isn't about me. They're not doing this to me. It's a symptom, like a sneeze showing us a cold, a cut with a wound, or a scab showing us healing. This behavior is showing us that the nervous system is rough. Can we become curious? Can we reach beneath that behavior? This is my lab. At Butler University, my lab is the classroom. I am a practitioner. I take the research and study human teacher and student behavior. And I begin with my own behavior. And I so wish I would have known this as a young mom, as a young teacher. What I'm going to talk about for the next 15 minutes is as much about me personally as it is professionally. And I hope you can come away from these next few minutes thinking about the power of your nervous system. This is Crystal Williams. I taught at Belzer Middle School in Indianapolis with her during the pandemic years, along with Lori Kirkland. I go in 2 mornings or 2 afternoons a week, and I take the research. And I'm going to share some of the practices with you this morning that we can integrate in our homes and in our schools and our organizations. And this is reaching beneath the behavior and getting out in front of the behavior. This is the classroom I entered in this January, and I left them last week. I got to be in there after lunch, in the afternoons, 2 days a week, and I'm going to tell you, it was one of the roughest classes I have ever experienced, but they learned about their nervous systems in complex ways. This is Miles, my very first grandson, and I share this image because I get a do-over as a grandmother. I get to watch his behavior, reach beneath the behavior, sit beside my daughter, and I get to observe and integrate ways that I was unaware of as a young mom when we think about the developing brain and body of our nervous systems. This is the applied educational neuroscience framework. And I'm going to focus over the next few minutes on that fourth tree. You can see the leaves turning, and it's called the language of the nervous system as we dive beneath behaviors. So I want you to think of your role as a parent, as a caregiver, as an educator, as an aunt, whatever that role is as you sit beside children. We think about our nervous systems, co-regulation, the magic of touch points, and then reaching beneath the behavior for the language of the nervous system. So last Tuesday, I celebrated with my 5th grade students. And we learned deeply over the last 4 months, and I'm going to share some of the practices that we integrated and that I take into schools across the world. This is it. This is the work, this picture, this image. We studied the brain and the nervous system. Those are sheep brains in the bucket. So we were studying the sheep brains from the Carolina Science Store because anatomically a sheep brain looks like our brain. So rather than talking about anger or talking about oppositional, defiant, disrespectful, entitled behaviors, we talked about what's happening in the cortex, in the amygdala, and in the brainstem. These kids learned why they feel the way they feel, and they felt empowered and they felt relieved. So we revisited our human laboratory last week on my last day with them. Just to share with you a little of the science, we come into the world with this brainstem. It's around 500 million years old. And it's the seat of survival. It's where we do everything without thinking about it consciously. It's where our digestion happens, it's respiration, it's where we have sleep rhythms, and it's also where our stress response systems get activated. So when I hear something or there is something that feels threatening or unfamiliar to me, my heart starts to beat, and that starts in that reptilian brainstem. It's really the CEO, the conductor of all of the functions, what we call regulatory functions in the brain. So when your heart starts to beat fast, when your mouth gets dry, when you sweat, when you start to shiver because you're cold, that's all because of that reptilian brain. But it also fires up when we feel dysregulated, and it's functioning beneath the behavior, those behaviors that we misunderstand. The limbic system, right here above your ears, there are 2 almond-shaped clusters of neurons called the amygdala. And that's our brain smoke detector. It's our fire alarm. And when it is firing, it shuts down the cortex. So many of our children today come into our schools, adolescents come into our schools with these labels: emotionally disturbed, behavior disordered, attention deficit. And then we have labels of depression and anxiety. And I'm glad we can identify those, but there's so much more than the labels and the classifications, and I want to speak to those for just a couple more minutes. This slide, my students love, and they get this. To the left is a cortex that is turned on, it's fired up, and we can think clearly, we can reason, we can be logical, we can pause before we say something we regret, we can have good, strong working memory and sustained attention. And it's sending projections all the way through the nervous system. But on the right is reddened area in the limbic system where the amygdala is. Until a few decades ago, we thought that the brain was immune to inflammation. And now we know that when there is excessive cortisol, you've heard of cortisol, that stress hormone, when there is excessive adrenaline, it wreaks havoc on brain tissue. So our students walk into our classrooms and they track the state of their nervous system. When I'm in the green, I'm feeling safe and connected. When I am feeling irritated, annoyed, angry, I can literally put a tracker there and let my teacher, let the adult know where I am in my nervous system, autonomic nervous system state, or I may be living in that brainstem area we call shutdown. It's much more than freeze. This is a dissociative, disconnected state. So each of our nervous system states that are always communicating with the body have their own story. When you are feeling in a state of felt safety, your story is your story of connection. When you are feeling rough, as we say in our house, dysregulated, your body, the blood, the oxygen flow starts to move into that limbic area. And I'm being very schematic. The brain doesn't work in sections or regions, but for us it does today. So you move into that story of protection. And then when you feel overwhelmed and you can't run from your stressor or fight off your stressor, you literally begin to disconnect from the world around you, and you disconnect from yourself. So I'm going to share with you what our little kids and children know, but we have been conditioned out of this word. And the word is sensation. When we are born, our identity is sensation. But as adults, our heads go one way and our bodies go the other. And we are teaching our children the language of the nervous system, which is the most powerful, critical aspect of mental and emotional health. Sensations, which I'm going to share examples, you experience all the time. I just share a couple of these examples. Driving down the road and you hear that screeching brake sound, and that car zooms past you, missing your side of the car by an inch. And what do you experience? Tingling, a rush of energy. That's a sensation. A loud noise awakens you from a deep sleep in the middle of the night. What's a sensation? Your heart is beating quickly. You feel fast. You feel maybe a little numb. You just received the best news, and you feel your heart beating fast with excitement. You feel a bit jittery. You have that, what we call in our house, that icky, yucky Sunday night feeling before work or school on Monday morning. And you feel that lump in your throat, and you feel that tension and tightness in the body. And then you have the biggest crush on this person, and they look your way and smile, and you get gooey. These are what my middle school students tell me, and warm and hot. And those are sensation words. This is a sensation word wall. Take a look at how different these are than feeling words. I might be feeling teary or tired or tight. I might be experiencing itchiness, edginess, prickly, rough. Those are physicalized feelings that our 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds get. They've not been conditioned out of their bodies. They can tell us how they experience their external world, their internal world, and their relational world. So we create sensation word walls and sensation word jars. Every home should have one of these. Our classrooms should have these. And our students draw their sensations. They give their sensations lines and colors and shapes. When we teach ourselves about the language of the nervous system, we begin to reach beneath the behavior. We might call a student violent or aggressive, but in that nervous system, there is some stuckness, some numbness. There's hollowness. And I know it's hard to read those words, but this is reaching for the root of behavior. Behavior management, as a mom, as a grandmother, as a teacher, centers on the adult. A dysregulated adult can never regulate a child. Never. We can get compliance and obedience, but we don't get that sustainable emotional and mental shift that brings states of relaxed alertness. This is a poster in our new manual that's coming out this summer because this work when we talk about the behaviors of students and our own children begins with us. I've got to take care of my own nervous system before I can attend and attune to a child or adolescent. Let's celebrate our nervous systems. This is our adolescent poster. Not just normalize those sensations, but celebrate that our nervous system always knows how to get home. And this is our children's poster, so they can begin to identify how they're experiencing a condition, an event, another person, or the environment. I'm going to skip that one for now because I'm running out of time. This is our human laboratory, and we brought in the physician jackets, the goggles, and the gloves because this is the work. We spend 10 to 20 minutes every day in our human laboratory, peeling back the layers of uncomfortable and often misunderstood behaviors. In that lab, our students learn that the body and the brain are constantly communicating. This is a bi-directional highway, and we've lost that as adults. In our lab, we look at this image and we wonder, what is this child or adolescent experiencing? Look at the sensations. There's heat in the head, and there's ice in the limbs. That's what we would call a very tonic, fast, heart beating fast, but feeling stuck and overwhelmed. This is a 6th grade student who shared with us that right before he popped off, and he was having 5 and 6 and 7 fights a day, right before he spazzed, he said, I would hear a buzzing in my ears, my hands would get red and hot, and I felt like my feet couldn't stand still. They were like lightning. And he drew this to share. And over an entire school year, he began to recognize the sensations, and he would go to the gym and shoot baskets before he popped off and before he spazzed, because he was learning and listening to the language of his nervous system. Discipline is relational. We miss the mark there. Discipline is about the adult nervous system. Discipline is preventative, and discipline is nervous system aligned when we reach for that sustainable change. So this talk this morning has been about the most important conversation you can have with anyone, and that is the conversation with your own nervous system. When you listen to your body, your brain responds with the resources you need so that we can get to the cortex and we can learn well, parent well, teach well, and lead well. Thank you so much.
I'll let you in on a little secret. She's my big sis. I called in a couple favors. She's owed me for a long time. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to bring Ethan out onto stage. He is one of the most special 5th graders I think I've ever met. I am convinced we will see Ethan someday on our television leading us in some area of government or maybe even the White House. He is just a super young man. He is a 5th grader at Van Buren Elementary, and he is the son of Rachel Fowler. Ethan chose his topic because he wanted to inform and persuade people to help with pollution. Ethan's talk is appropriately titled, A Trashy Problem. So let's give a warm welcome to Ethan.
Anyways, welcome everyone. I'm Ethan. You already know about the whole pollution problem, right? Well, if you didn't know, or if you didn't, I hope I can explain and clear some things up for you. And in the end, I hope I can convince you to save the world. So, I'll tell you how you can help, but you should help and honestly, my very short experience with pollution. Anyway, when I see trash on the ground, I just trot on by because I feel like I'm going to make such a microscopic impact. And I feel useless picking up trash in the first place because I am just one person out of 8 billion in the world. And maybe you feel that way too. But if I didn't feel kind of guilty about not picking up trash, you would hear something completely different from me. But I'm here now to tell you how you can literally save the world. Also, if you don't know how to pick up trash, dispose of trash, I'm here for you. For recyclables, you should go to the nearest recycling center and dispose of them. We even have a recycling center at Van Buren, my school. Some examples of recyclables may be glass, plastic, paper, or metal. Recyclables stick around longer than biodegradable trash. That's why it's important to recycle. Most recyclable trash is not biodegradable. Some trash is compostable. This comes in handy if you like farming or gardening and want to cut back on buying soil. Composting is like turning trash or plants into soil. Composting also prevents trash you pick up from going into a waterway. Like a stream, creek, lake, or river, which can then lead to the ocean. It's crazy how we can prevent trash from getting into water by turning trash into dirt. But there is trash everywhere. Well, we can fix that if we work together to pick it up. We can find trash and recyclables in places like roads, forests, lakes, rivers, creeks, trails, and of course, the ocean. Trust me, if you look hard enough, you will find trash anywhere. For places like lakes or rivers, you can just use something like a net bag, or if you're looking for a challenge, even a fishing rod. For other places, you can just use some small thing like a bat. Now, everyone, let's talk about why you should pick up trash and recyclables and what to do. If no one does their part for the problem, we would suffer from the symptoms of pollution around us. According to airnow.gov, pollution causes eye, nose, throat irritation, shortness of breath, along with other things. Well, we can help that by picking up trash. Now that we got that over with, here's what you should do. If you see paper food, you might want to ignore it. It's biodegradable. We need to pick up things like rubber, plastic, and metal, because those pollute almost every corner of the earth, poisoning the air, ground, and water because of laziness. There are many places with trash: the ocean, forests, lakes, and roads. But if we, as a collective group, get out there and pick up even just one piece of trash a day, we could make a global impact. And when pollution finally goes away, we'll stand proud knowing that we made that possible at all. Just press play and help save the world. Thanks for listening.
All right, let's give it up one more time for Ethan Marshall, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. All right, our next speaker is someone that is truly inspiring, especially for those that believe in the power of storytelling.
She's a senior at Brown County High School and has a deep passion for practicing accurate, passionate, and inclusive storytelling through student journalism programs.
She believes that media classes has the power to change minds, hearts, and change schools for the better. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with her talk titled, You Hold the Remote, The Importance of Journalism in Schools, Lily Shekels.
I am here today to ask a simple question. What would a student's life look like with a journalism class? For me, it was a life-altering experience. It increased my knowledge of grammar, and I was able to gain a better social skill. I'm able to show confidence in an interview, whether that be in person or through an email. And I finally had the chance to have a say in something that I write. Nothing felt like an assignment to me. I was simply just having fun. Journalism has been my passion since I was a sophomore in high school. Imagine a little 16-year-old me investing her life in a biomedical class because that's all I knew. With my mom and sister going to school to be nurses, it was just what I thought would come next for me. Until I had to take the yearbook class for a fine art credit, and that's when I knew journalism was what I wanted to do. And now, here I am today to express that passion, to show just why I took the remote control in life and press play on my future in journalism, and hopefully to show you why you should care about it too. When I did some research, I came across a study created by the Newspaper Association of America that shows 20% of 31,175 students have taken a journalism class. The results concluded a significant difference between the ACT test scores of students who had journalism experience and those who didn't. In a world where all schools offer journalism classes, students would be more academically inclined with their writing skills, communication skills, self-confidence, and their ability to create a personalized and create a story. As you can see, the dark green is the students who have journalism experience, and their scores are higher than those who didn't. So what does this say about journalism in schools? To me, it's something that helped a student finally find her passion and gave her something to be excited about. But it also helps students academically in their test scores. It increases their knowledge in so many different ways. When it comes to journalism in schools, it's a highly undervalued class because it may seem like your English classes will teach the same things. But that's not always the case. I never had to sit in front of another person and interview them, and I never got to have a say in the things that I had to write. But with my journalism class, I do. And that's not to say English isn't necessary, because it's literally the first step needed when writing a journalism story. So it's nice to have classes that play into each other rather than against each other. Where English teaches formal grammar, journalism spins it to give it a media feel. English teaches us how to write all the nonfiction and fiction genres and books, and journalism is how to write the real facts and news. With English, you get essays, and in journalism, you get newspapers. So while they are different, we wouldn't have journalism if we didn't have English. So now let me take you through what we can call the soft skills of journalism. In journalism, one of the most crucial forms of communication is through email. Whether it's an interview I'm not able to do in person, or just communication back and forth with my editors and internship advisor, I always say I send more emails in a day than I do texts, and I'm only 18 years old. So it's very important to have the skills to write a strong and formal email. The first thing I do in an email is I greet the recipient and make a clear introduction of who I am, what I'm emailing for, and why I wanted to do an interview. So now, take the skills you learn about a formal email and put that into what it would look like to have to use it in the adult world. You may need to write a professional email for your job. In college, emails can be super helpful with communication. You're communicating with your professors and getting references, and maybe scheduling an interview where you want to seem professional because first impressions do matter. Another one of the soft skills that are valuable in life is time management. Time and deadlines are super important when it comes to journalism. If you're writing for a newspaper, creating a yearbook spread, or planning an interview, it all comes down to a deadline. I have a deadline every Thursday, and I need to have my story sent to my editors before noon. If I don't get that story in, I don't have a feature for the next week. Not only would that inconvenience my editors, but I have to think about the time I put into planning all my future stories and how I have to push everything back. May 10th is the deadline for all yearbook spreads to be done. If they're not done, they won't get published, then that's a waste of all the students and parents who paid a pretty penny for an unfinished book. I make sure to plan interviews a week in advance to help spread out the time frame between when I get the answers to write the story to when I actually write the story. So that's why there's no conflict between those times. So now, take this and think about a work paper. You don't want to submit that late. Or an essay for college, or even just a piece of homework. This skill is so important in life and yet can be learned in a yearbook class. I will always say yearbook class is one of my favorite classes and language arts is one of my best classes. The reason yearbook is my favorite class is because of the freedom I have when I'm creating a page, writing a story, or creating questions for a sidebar. It's by far the most relaxing and freeing experience I have ever had. And it's all because it's my choice. It's my page, it's my ideas, and it's my name in the byline. If you can't tell by now, I am referencing another soft journalism skill. Having the ability to create something in your own words is an amazing skill to utilize in life. I want you to think about when a teacher told you not to copy off somebody. I'm betting they told you to use your own words. That's exactly what this is, the ability to use your own words. In an essay, you're not going to copy off someone. On a report based on your knowledge, you're not going to ask your coworkers for the answer. So having this skill will help you when it comes to writing things that involve your own words. I believe that one of the most amazing things about journalism is all the different career paths it offers within itself. First, you have graphic design. A graphic designer is someone who creates a visual concept, like logos or advertisements. Then you have your photographers, which, in all honesty, could be a whole speech in itself. You have wedding photographers, sports photographers, fashion, portrait, wildlife, and so many more. From there, we now have social media. And yes, social media is a very important form of journalism because not everybody looks for the newspaper anymore. So journalism has to be accessible to everyone, including social media users. Marketing, taking a journalist's spin on distributing a brand's content. And finally, yearbook, whether that be taking it as a student or teaching it. It's the ability to create a book of memories made just for your high school. So just take a minute to break this down with me. We have journalism. Then within journalism, we have a plethora of different skills and career paths, all made up into small things. That's 5 and more career paths schools look right over. As I mentioned, journalism is not for everyone, but it could be for a lot more students if it was even an option in schools. Now, you have heard me talk about my deadlines, interviews, and how journalism is in fact for me. And the reason why is because I had the amazing opportunity to intern with our local Brown County newspaper and have learned the ropes of journalism before I even take my step into college. Have you guys ever seen those TikTok Get Ready With Me videos? If you have, I thought, how fun would it be to write a story with me? So the first thing I think about when writing a story is, what do I want to write about? Typically for my stories, I keep my ideas close to Brown County. So today I'm going to write about Brown County high school students having their first TED practice speech. I then go on to plan my interview, what I want to ask, and when do I even send the email. And then I mention my who, what, when, and where, or who, what, when, and where, and why. Here are some things I'd like to point out in my story. Paragraphs are different when it comes to journalistic writing because you can create an entire paragraph with just one sentence. It's pretty amazing. Then, you also have to do your interviews in past tense. So when I read my story, you'll notice I say she added instead of she said. My story reads, Brown County High School TED Ed students prepared their first ever speech practice on Monday, April 15th with a BCHS TED Ed luncheon. The event allowed the TED Ed club members to bring family and friends to hear firsthand the speeches they have created on topics they are most passionate about. With the big TEDx event coming up on May 18th, 2024, it's important for the students to gain experience of giving their speech in front of others while also getting to know what they want to say and how they say it. This event was planned out by BCHS English teachers and heads of the TED Ed Club, Cassandra Pontius and Amanda Condra. I think it's really important to practice now instead of later, said BCHS senior and TED Ed member Lily Shekels. I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm very excited and grateful to have amazing teachers who plan these to help better us students, she added. BCHS TED members are looking forward to the Brown County TEDx event, so be sure to join us at the Brown County Music Center on May 18th, open to the public, to support these hardworking students and their accomplishments. So to end my talk, I want to recap with you the world of journalism in a student's life. You have social skills, formal email writing, different career paths, all wrapped up into one thing, journalism.
Can we have another round of applause for Lily Shekels? She did amazing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are going to call down one of the representatives for Carlon to introduce our next speaker. So could we have that person come down for me? There you are, behind me. There you are.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Lissy Laub, and I am a licensed clinical social worker with Carolyn Behavioral Health, and I serve as the Behavioral Health Program Director for the Anthem Indiana Medicaid team. Carolyn and Anthem are both very proud sponsors of today's event. Carolyn takes a whole person approach to behavioral health care, one that extends beyond clinical settings to address the behavioral, economic, medical, and social drivers of health that influence equitable, whole health outcomes. As a behavioral health professional, I am incredibly thrilled to be able to introduce this next speaker. I am so impressed by her passion and dedication to speaking out against mental health stigma and just talking about mental health awareness. It really does take so much courage and compassion to get on this stage and talk about such an important topic. This next speaker is a 5th grader from Van Buren Elementary School. She is passionate about raising awareness about mental health in young children and adolescents. She wants to convey to others that there is no shame in asking for help when you are having a hard time. Her talk is titled, "Let's Shatter the Silence." Please join me in welcoming Scarlett Day.
Embarrassment, guilt, nervousness, anxiety, social acceptance, fear of being judged. These are some of the reasons that someone suffering from a mental illness may be afraid to ask for help. There may be someone sitting next to you suffering from a mental illness and you may not even know it. This person may not have asked for help or medical treatment for the illness, for fear of being judged, or even fear of losing their job. Mental health affects everyone, from the young to the old. Sometimes you can look at someone and tell something isn't quite right. Maybe they look sad, lost, emotionless, or tired. We all have our moments, but someone suffering from a mental illness may feel like this all the time. Imagine going through life feeling lost and emotionless on a daily basis. When I was about 8 or 9, I started losing interest and motivation for things that I had been passionate about. I stopped playing baseball. I stopped listening to my music. My grades in school started dropping. My mom noticed something was off with me. She knew something was different. She made me an appointment with a therapist, and I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. This really affected my life. People would say, "You're too young for depression. You don't know what it's like to be depressed. What do you have to be depressed about?" I don't think they realized how much those comments affected me. The comments they made me feel like my diagnosis was minimized. Some people thought I just wanted attention. If you think about it, why would I go about getting attention this way? If it was attention I was seeking, I could have made a home run in softball or aced a test. One of the biggest problems with mental health is asking for help. Most people have a hard time asking for help because they are afraid they are going to be judged. People automatically think you are crazy and need to go to a hospital. Some people may even think you're lying. Think about it. A kid gets home from a tiring day at school just to get yelled at and called lazy because they are emotionally struggling and unable to help around the house. According to 2023 State of Pediatric Mental Health in America, more than 2.7 million children and adolescents are living with severe depression. Of those, 60% receive no mental health treatment. Is it going to help the situation to yell at them or punish them? It is not uncommon to suffer from anxiety or depression. There should be no shame in asking for help if you think you are suffering from one of these conditions. I'm here today to help some of you understand, and maybe even persuade others to understand, that there is no shame in seeking help if you have one of these conditions. Depression is very common, and it does affect children. So what can you do to help with this crisis? If you're a parent, a teacher, or any adult that works with children, stop and look at the child. Notice their actions. Does this child show any of the signs? That single question could change a child's life. You can help a child by asking if they're okay, reassuring them that they can talk with you. And we're back. Remember to be kind and do the little things for people. A compliment, a hug, a smile, those things can go a long way in showing someone you care about them. I know because those little things help me. Please press play. It could potentially save a child's life.
Hey, I'd like to just, because we had a little technology glitch, I'd like to give Scarlett a round of applause on her vulnerability. You know, to be that age and feel vulnerable enough to share her mental health journey. May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we loved that she was willing to be bold and brave with her story. And so thanks everybody for cheering her on. And now our next student speaker is Erin Murphy. Erin has deep roots in Southern Indiana. Her dad serves as a Marine. I don't know if he's still serving. Marine Corps veteran, sorry, who served 4 years in infantry while in the Middle East. So our hats off and thanks to Erin's dad for his service. And he inspired Erin to join the Young Marines, which I think is so incredible. It's a drug demand reduction program that teaches American youth the importance of a healthy lifestyle and leadership. And man, what a timely message this is today. So this is how Erin learned to be a leader and how she's been fostering her desire to lead. And so let's give a warm welcome to our next student speaker, Erin Murphy.
So we all know someone who's gone down the rabbit hole of drug use. Unfortunate, but true. And you may have been lectured on the negative effects of drugs enough times for this talk to be completely white noise. But it's my goal to do all that I can to fight drugs, so listen up. My main focus is THC, which you may know is found in marijuana or pot. And there are many different forms of this. I'm sure everyone has heard of vapes, specifically those containing THC. There are also gummies and edibles infused with this stuff. Kids on the West Coast mostly, where the substance is legal, are getting sick from mistaking their parents' gummies for safe candy. Good evening. My name is Young Marine Staff Sergeant Murphy, and I'm with the Seymour Young Marines, a program for kids ages 8 to 18 focused on keeping America's youth off of drugs and teaching us to be outstanding leaders in our community. I've seen an abundance of drug use in my lifetime, and considering my age, that says a lot. Kids my age, even younger, and schools everywhere are being caught using drugs, especially THC. So parents, you may say, my kid would never willingly ingest THC. Well, remember the example I mentioned earlier with the kids accidentally eating the gummies? That could very well happen with middle schoolers. What I mean by that is, a kid wouldn't tell their parents that they ate their candy. This is because they know they'll get in trouble. So if they unknowingly eat edibles, they're not going to tell any parents or adults, which would lead to them getting seriously hurt. Kids my age are the same with knowingly using drugs. They might vape, and since they think it's fine, they won't even think about telling their parents. So it's clear that kids shouldn't be doing it. But what about adults? Why is it so harmful? Well, THC is known as a gateway drug. A gateway drug is a substance that isn't as harmful, keyword as, it can still do a lot of damage, but it's not the same as other drugs. However, using this can lead to more lethal drugs, such as cocaine. Even though it's only a gateway drug by itself, that doesn't mean it can't do some heavy damage to your body. Statistics show, however, that marijuana isn't usually the first used drug of the average person. But we need to be cautious of this. It has the potential to be. Let me explain. It's actually alcohol, which makes a whole lot of sense. Raise your hand if, in your childhood home, your parents had alcohol. This is completely fine. No judgment. However, this is because alcohol is widely normalized. Think about it. We have bars and pubs everywhere. You can even order a beer at Six Flags. You can go to almost any restaurant and ask, what's on tap? We don't see this as much with marijuana, though. There are stores popping up in legal states, and I think we'll see a rise of this in the future. We saw the same with coffee houses in the 17th century. Those who dared to sell coffee would be tossed in a burlap sack out to sea. But nowadays, you can find a Starbucks anywhere. We're already seeing a rise of this with THC. Every time I scroll on social media, which is a habit to be discussed another time, I see an advertisement for edibles. And a total of 24 US states allow recreational hemp use. Let me note, recreational use is very different than medical use. I believe that if prescribed cautiously, it can be beneficial. That is only for people who need it, though. My dad, a US Marine Corps veteran, has buddies who came back from battle with severe PTSD. They were prescribed marijuana, and it helped their situation. This isn't common, though, and it should be very strict on how we decide to give patients this. Recreational, on the other hand, isn't for people who need it, it's a want. And marijuana is being popularized at that sense at a very scary rate. So, what's bad about THC itself? The National Institute of Drug Abuse lists several long-term disorders related to the use of marijuana, such as schizophrenia and suicidal thoughts. Is that it? No. I have multiple friends that have been hurt by this substance, hospitalized even. This affects lives. This can lead to someone taking their own life, and even children are affected. A popular thing now is THC carts and vapes. Carts are the little thing of liquid that's vaporized when in use. Hence the name vape. Now, I'm sure most of us have watched the news lately, and have seen the massive wave of illegal migrants entering our country. I'm not here to say they're horrible or give my political opinion on any of that. That's not as important as the kids that are affected. Back to what I was saying. With a tsunami of immigrants, there's also been a wave of fentanyl following. If you don't know what fentanyl is, according to the CDC, fentanyl is a synthetic opioid drug that is up to 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. Also, according to the CDC, fentanyl and other synthetic opioids are the most common drugs involved in overdose deaths. Even in small doses, it can be deadly. Over 150 people die every day from overdoses related to synthetic opioids like fentanyl. Let that sink in. In 2022, according to Statistia.com, there were 21,156 reported cases of murder or non-negligent manslaughter in the US. That number is 1/3 of the amount of people who die from overdose of opioids. Granted, that's a global compared to a statistic that applies to the US, but it should not be that high. This is a severe problem. People are putting this drug in vape cartridges, the same things that kids practically everywhere are getting caught with. According to the CDC, 4.6% of kids in 7th and 8th grade combined have been caught using an e-cigarette. In high school, that percentage more than doubled. 10% of high school students. That number is 1 in 10. That's wild. Knowing all of that, why would kids turn to drugs in the first place? Well, according to JAMA, peer influence plays a pivotal role in the initiation of tobacco and drug usage. We hear a lot about peer pressure when we talk about drugs, but just how influential is it? According to MNHS, 85% of high schoolers have felt peer pressure. 80% of teens began smoking due to peer influence, and 75% have tried alcohol due to it. Could you imagine how this would look with THC? While I couldn't find any studies with that specific information, the wide normalization of THC, and vapes mostly, in high school points to a similar result. Vapes are also marketed in a way that makes them more appealing than other drugs. They come in a variety of fun flavors to mentally separate users from the harmful substances that they're actually putting in their bodies. The fact that teens are able to find ways to get normal nicotine vapes is alarming in itself. The legal age to buy one in the US is 21 years of age. So how are minors able to get a hold of these? They usually get them from their friends or they steal them. Think of your local gas station. Plenty of sources of nicotine are out on display. Perfect to grab. How could we fix this? We should make it a federal law that devices containing nicotine or cigarettes be locked behind the counter out of reach. That'll help the situation a lot. Not to mention, e-cigarettes themselves, even without THC, contain acrolein, which is used in herbicides. Kids are inhaling this. So instead of worrying about what we're triggered by, worry about what's actually happening. Start being involved in your kids' lives. Pay attention, teach them, and advocate for learning about drugs in the classroom. The school curriculum touches on teaching about drugs, but one chapter isn't enough. More in-depth teaching needs to happen to make a much greater impact. If you want change, write to your local senator. Tell them that this is a problem that needs to be stopped. They have the power to fix it. Ask for laws to prevent teens from getting their hands on these. And since they represent us, you have the power to vote to fix it. Lastly, according to G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. So we should be arming ourselves for this war. And that comes with building a level of trust with your child to the point where they can come to you about any drugs or danger they put themselves in. That may seem like a lot, but listening is the first step to change. So thank you so much. Y'all were great. Have an amazing night.
Okay. Erin is our only middle school speaker today. Didn't she do a fantastic job on behalf of middle schoolers? These kids leave me encouraged about our future. I don't know about you, but there's some special thoughts going around today. Our next speaker, oh man, we're so lucky to have Don. He's a busy guy around the state of Indiana and other places. Don is the founder and CEO of the Started Up Foundation, which hosts Innovate Within, get it, Indiana, Indiana's innovation and entrepreneurship programming and competition. He is also the author of Pure Genius, Building a Culture of Innovation, which aims to create innovation mindsets in our schools. Don is known for his award-winning work as a teacher, educational and innovation consultant, and educational speaker. He is also a TEDx alumni and has been a podcast host for over 6 years. So we're really fortunate to have Don Wettrick with us. Put your hands together and give him a nice welcome.
All right. Before I begin, this is going to be really hard for me to stay in one place. I'm a pacer. But like I said before, my name is Don Wettrick. I'm the founder and CEO of Started Up Foundation. I'm going to talk to you today about 4 main concepts I want you to take away, especially if you are a teacher or a student. Number 1, what is the purpose of this building? And ironically enough, these next 2 photos are all generated by AI. And I asked then, what is the purpose of this room? Both those photos are literally generated by AI, and what AI thinks school is something that's steeped in tradition, no problem. It kind of had an older look to it, if you want to take a look at that again. And there's classroom, it's still rows and desks. What I'm going to challenge you today is what I think about education, what it could be. So I'm going to start off with a story. A couple years ago, actually a year and a half ago, Assistant Secretary of Commerce Alejandra Castillo was in town, and they were doing a roundtable. Actually, it's not a roundtable. I guess we're in a square. That's me over there. And they had this roundtable. They were talking about this Tech Hubs Act, and a lot of it was going to how we were going to spend the money, right? And we were like, what are we going to do? How are we going to have more collaborative spaces? And they were talking about, we need to build this innovation center. We need to build this hub, and we need to have this tech center and co-working spaces. And so it finally got around to me, and I said, I would just like to remind everybody here that there is an innovation center in every single town in America. The bricks have already been laid, the heat has been paid for. It's called your local school, if you want it to be that way. And by the way, Ms. Castilla said that she has my endorsement. When she said this, she looked over to the side, and she was that. I want more people to know that. As we start building out what does innovation mean and could it mean, our elementaries, middle schools, and high schools have to be the ones that are leading that charge and figuring it out what it is, and a safe place for them to try things and fail. So today, at the time, like I told her this, and she thought that was a novel idea, and I have to give credit where credit's due. About 13 years ago, ironically enough, I watched a TED Talk by Daniel Pink. Homework if you want to do it after this session's over. But he started talking about what motivates people, and it was mastery, autonomy, and purpose. And I just remember after I watched that TED Talk, I took action. I literally watched it during my lunch period when I was a classroom teacher, and I started something which we're going to get into on what is 20% time. But I just remember, and still now do, entrepreneurs take action. They don't wait around, they try, they fail, they recover, they make changes. which ironically enough, as I was saying, after I watched that, I took action. At first it was a class, and then we decided to form our own classroom, and we called it Innovation and Open Source Learning. And what that meant was this was a class where you got to do the things that you wanted to do. But you told me how and where, what you want to accomplish, how to set goals, how to backward design. The problem was, a lot of times our students wanted to work on things that I was not an expert in. And that was when we called it open source learning. So some of our students wanted to learn how to code a basic game and put it on the iTunes store, or they wanted to, we had one student that wanted to learn how to patch quilt before her grandmother passed away, and learn how to patch quilt her grandma. And at first people were like, why are you doing that in school? And then when I said it, it's a place where students can go to learn the things that they want to learn, not necessarily the things that they have to learn. Just a small part of your school day. And so that was kind of the launching of this class, and honestly why I'm here today. So today's main points I'm going to go over is these 4 main things. Number 1, make the decision that your school is an innovation hub at any grade level. 2, students get to see problems as opportunities, and opportunities worth solving. Build a network now and leadership to transform it from idea to reality. So let's get into that. Number 1, your school should be an innovation hub. Just as I was talking to Assistant Secretary Castillo, that idea of, oh yeah, why aren't we doing that? What if there was a hub? What if there was at first one teacher that said, I want to do more project-based, community-based activities? What if that teacher would call their local mayor and say, we've got some things. I've got a bunch of students that want to take on problems. We say again and again when we're out talking to students, seeing a problem as an opportunity is absolutely huge. But the first thing is you have to make that the destination. Whether you're in elementary, middle, or high school, it takes usually the first teacher to say, we're going to solve problems. Now, I know and I hear it. There's already a lot of problems in the world, but that ability to see problems as opportunities is the first step. And there's some pictures of us. We were talking at first to people on, well, it wasn't Zoom then, it was Skype calls, and we were having the ability to have people, industry experts say, hey, this is coming down the track. This thing is going to be, like, this is the problem we're facing. And my gosh, this was 6, 7 years ago. Imagine some of the things that the students now need to untangle with understanding AI tools. Imagine some of the problems that we've been talking about from the stage that students have been bringing up. The world is filled with opportunities to be solved, but there's a ton of them. So then you say, okay, like, what do we want to solve? And by the way, I should also address the other bottom part of slides. Even though we started from the classroom, we started doing community things. We started getting a lot of invitations from local leaders, from business leaders for our students to go there and help them solve problems. So a lot of times when we said, all right, see a problem as an opportunity, I had them break things down in the rule of thirds. And that is, what is a problem worth solving? And this is really, really important, especially if you want to talk to your kids about it. Number 1, if you want to work on something, are you already passionate about it? There's problems everywhere, right? My shoestrings are ragged, or I tripped over a mic cord, or whatever. There's tons of problems. If you're passionate about it, you're going to see it through. If you can recruit a team and they want to work on something that means something to them, then they're going to see it through. Number 2, what skills are you going to acquire? And by that, I mean, if you just, again, solving a simple problem, that even though you're charged up, you can do it in your sleep, it's really simple. You may want to choose something that makes you a little bit more stretched. And I will also say this, when I'm talking to students, they know this, no one buys a really easy video game. You buy a video game that you're not going to be good at, that it stretches you and it challenges you and you get better. Same thing here. Are you passionate, and do you have the skills, and what skills will you acquire? And lastly, and I think most importantly, who will it benefit other than you? We've had several people wanting to talk about their personal interests and their passions, but what I want my students to see is that you can be a successful person, but I would like it if you would be a successful person helping others. We've had several cases where students start off with a very, very, very focused need that they want, but if they can open it up and realize that they're solving problems for other people, that's where it's at. And by the way, entrepreneurs, that's all they do. They listen to people complain, they see gaps in the market, and then they start something. So I often had my students like fill out those rule of thirds. If you have all 3 checked off, you're good to go. So I'm going to give you some examples. You're like, all right, Don, what does this mean? I'm going to give you some examples from Innovate Within, our state of Indiana's entrepreneurship and innovation competition. Meet Patchables. These students, the first problem they had was their town of Hobart, Indiana, had an animal shelter, was underfunded, and they needed help. And so they decided, all right, we want to do something to get them to be better. So they decided to make a dog toy. And the girl there in the middle, her other problem, though, she thought fast fashion was bad for the environment. A lot of times people, when you buy t-shirts for $5, you may be wearing them for a couple days and you're okay with throwing it away because it's only $5. So they combined their idea that we're going to do go to a farmer's market, set up a table, and ask people to upcycle old jeans and old t-shirts. And what they had done is they were taking the jeans and then cutting a dog bone pattern, taking the t-shirts, shredding them, and stuffing them with the shirts. And so magic happened when they started going through the Innovate Within process. We and then some of their friends at the Small Business Development Center start working with them, and they go, what's your problem? How can you scale up? And they go, we can only make usually like 10 in a week. It takes a while to stuff them and sew them. And the amazing thing is that they didn't know that about 5 miles from their high school is an organization called Tradewinds. And Tradewinds employs special needs adults to do what? Sew and assemble things together. So this team, all of a sudden, by the way, they were freshmen in high school. And they were able to start getting a process of making a lot more. So let's go over this. Are they passionate about it? Yes, on both the dog treat side, or dog toy side, and on the getting fast fashion out of landfill. What skills did they acquire? At first, just the marketing of getting people to upcycle. They sold, they marketed, then they started learning manufacturing. And then who is it benefiting other than them? Let's see. The environment, dogs and cats, special needs adults who have among the highest unemployment rate. So one project, many, many different solutions. Then I'm also going to introduce Nina and Carrie. They also went through Innovate Within 2 years ago. Fun fact, they were just nominated, or they were just inducted in this year's Forbes 30 Under 30 at age 18. They're from Evansville, Indiana. What their problem was is they were lucky enough that they had parents that spent time with them understanding and talking about saving and investing and just some of the basics of financial literacy. And they had seen that a lot of their friends did not. So Carrie had been working on some projects where he was very privy to early AI tools. And so he started making AI tools so he could gamify financial literacy with high school students. So once again, passion about it, check. Skills acquired, oh my gosh, they were early on the AI game. And then who is it helping other than you? That's all they do. So I give you those examples for that reason, that ideas worth solving are stretching you and you're passionate about it and you'll work past that. The other thing I want a good, healthy classroom to have is to rely on building your network. And I really call this the 3 M's. So once you've established the hub, our students are going to solve problems, you make that known, then you start seeing problems as opportunities. Now the most important thing is, and I hate it when people go, well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Start knowing people. It's just that simple. And people are like, well, where do you start? When I say mayors, I really can mean, if you're in a small town, it could be a city council. But mayors especially do not want to see talent leave. If your students are saying, I want to step up and I want to make a difference, I promise you that local mayor will be all over it. They're incentivized and they want to work with students, especially if they're solving problems. Number 2, media. And I mean that both in traditional media and also social media. If your students are working on something amazing, teachers, call your local media. Slow news days exist. We want to hear good news. That's the reason why you were all here. By the way, thank you for wanting to listen to student voices. So media also holds you accountable. If your students are on LinkedIn saying, hey, we're building this thing, they'll want to make sure that they follow through because they have built an audience. So by able to use media also will help your students. And lastly, the 3rd M is mentors. reaching out to people and asking for help is the thing. And a lot of those mentors are going to de-risk for the students failure. When you start something, it's going to not work out well. But great mentors, and the teachers as well, are there going to be encouraging the progression of things, not necessarily just celebrating a grade at the end of the semester. And then fourth, there's leadership. I have said this so many times, but one of my favorite, and I'm paraphrasing here, one of my favorite quotes about education was from an author, Seth Godin. And he said, really and truly, education can be boiled down to two things: solving interesting problems and the leadership to get it done. I'm not sure if you noticed the theme here. But the leadership is where it gets done. And the students you have heard from, that's leadership. Coming up with a great idea means nothing. It's the execution. Now, I know that if you're my age, I am 52, we had this great joke when I was a kid. When I die, I hope that everybody that I did a group project with in high school is there at my funeral, and they bury me so they can let me down one last time. Leadership is you are the one leading it. But leadership is you knowing that team and everybody has a role. Because if you're just doing it for a grade, that's school as we've known it. If you're solving a problem, everybody on that team is empowered to want to chip in. And that's what we're desperately trying to build. So a lot of people say, all right, where can we start? Where, like, my son or daughter is in elementary school or middle school. First of all, again, start with the teacher. If you're watching this here or online, if that's you, plant your flag in the ground. You want to do this. You're the innovation hub of your school. I guarantee you more teachers will want to be a part of this. Number two, especially if you're at the elementary and middle school levels, start a Genius Hour, start a 20% time, start a club, do a 0 hour, do something before school. A lot of the students will gravitate to this in time. And then lastly, if you're especially at the high school level, this is where it starts blending into entrepreneurship. At the elementary level, there's nothing wrong with having really creative exercises on solving huge, big problems without understanding how to really break it down and understand cost. At the middle school level is when innovation kicks in. These students are starting to come up with things with unique insights and unique ways to, you're like, wait a second, I think that you're onto something. So by the time they hit high school, it is by the time they validated and they're ready to launch. They have been working on something maybe for 2 or 3 years. And they'll understand how to take an innovative idea to break it down and say, what are the costs? Who are my audience? What is the product market fit? And all those fun things that entrepreneurs talk about. But if we allow that time for our students from kindergarten through senior year to just see problems as opportunities, you are going to transform towns. I promise you. The 2 examples I gave you, I was struggling with 30 others that I would like to give you as well. This is not a one-off. And also, if you're thinking, well, maybe you know where I'm from. I taught at a school that was very big. I'm so happy that just not too long ago, I just visited Union City, Indiana, with Randolph County Schools. Small town, big innovation. And their schools got to find and work with the city. They donated them a building where there's makerspace there. There's a television studio there. There's a podcast studio there. So I'm not going to listen to people go, well, we can't start that from where we're from. We're a small town. Yes, you can. And it starts with the teacher, or it starts with the student saying, can I have some of this time to accomplish the things that I'm passionate about, to acquire skills that may not be in school right now, but are on the horizon. And I want to lead that. That's all it really boils down to. And lastly, if you start building that, hey man, start local pitch competitions. I'm lucky enough and blessed enough that we run Innovate Within, which is crazily enough one of the biggest pitch competitions in the country now. And we work with teachers all over to get them to foster more of this. I'm begging any school leader, teacher, principal, superintendent to allow time for just this kind of thing. Final thoughts. Be the destination. Create a culture where students see problems as opportunities. Build that network so they'll have teachers that will be in the classroom or be able to work with you remotely. Leadership gets the job done. We need to provide more leadership opportunities for our students and start with creativity, grow with innovation, and finish with entrepreneurship. And lastly, and I mean this, the world is filled with so many problems that if we allow our students that kind of time, they'll shock you. So don't wait around. Don't wait around for perfect. Help your students make this kind of change tomorrow. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Mr. Don, please. All right, our next speaker is someone that truly embodies the spirit of leadership.
He's a junior at Brown County High School and is passionate about encouraging others to embrace leadership in their lives, not just for their own betterment, but also to positively impact those around him.
Yeah, today he'll be talking about the importance of leadership, what exactly is leadership, and he truly, his speech really incites the promise to be enlightening as well as motivating. Please welcome someone very, very special to me, my brother. He may look very similar to me. Noah Lewis.
Just to be sure. Okay, cool. Here today, I stand before you, about ready to preach about why leadership is so important to the world. But first, we all must realize what exactly is leadership. Today, the ideology of leadership is the classic sports captain who motivates their team to die for their sport. But the reality is, sports leadership is only a small portion of what leadership can truly bring you. Google defines leadership as leading a group or organization. But the way I see it, thousands of kids are born a day and have been given the opportunity to make a difference. And they either can embrace this or step back. Leadership today is much bigger than a halftime speech, or being most popular, or even the most vocal. Leadership comes from within you, and if you have a strong sense of this, leading is easy. However, many believe that leadership holds consequences, and this idea was best regarded by Steve Harvey, who once said, in front of a live studio audience, that you can be a leader, but a leader is a developed set of skills. What stops the average person from leading is the fear of the consequences of leading. Most people don't want the responsibility of being a leader. But let me tell you this, the responsibility of being a follower is more dire and more severe. Now let's take a moment and analyze what Steve Harvey is really saying here. When you lead, you are in control, and you can shape the world however you see fit. But when you take one step back, 2 steps back, 3, your actions are limited to another's. Now let me paint you a picture that I experienced in my math class just last year. If you've been to Brown County schools, you know that the Brown County classrooms don't hold more than 20, 22 kids. But in this particular class, we had a grand total of 34. Extremely large class. So 10 of us were sent out of the room to go take a math test just down the hall in the abandoned classroom. I'm about a page or so in, and all of a sudden, I hear a copyrighted scream straight from a horror film. I look to my right, and all of a sudden, I see a girl on her chair in panic over a 3-inch mouse that she saw run into the closet. The whole room, as you expected, would erupt in panic, especially the girls. Even our paraprofessional teacher was attempting to abandon ship and head back to the main classroom. But as any great leader would do, I stepped up, took the spotlight, grabbed the cardboard box, opened the closet door, and covered the mouse. But here's where my plan kind of faltered a little bit. I didn't know exactly how to capture the mouse completely and actually remove it from our school. But then, as a cartoon light bulb appeared above my head, I found an idea with a whiteboard. I would slide it underneath the box, flip it over, and there you go. There was a 3-inch mouse, no bigger than the size of my palm. I'm not even joking about that one. It was not as much of a panic as everybody made it seem. But you might be asking, what does this story convey about leadership? And how can anyone, this story conveys that leadership can happen anywhere and at any time. No matter if you're a multi-million-dollar founder or you're simply a girl screaming on top of her chair looking for help and you're that help. In this world, nothing ever comes easy. Everyone starts whether from a rocky beginning or a fresh green pasture. Surprisingly enough, one of the few billionaires in the world, Elon Musk, was beaten so badly in his high school that he had to be hospitalized for his injury. As stated best in his autobiography, Who is Elon Musk?, he was the youngest and smallest in his South African class and was an easy target for bullies. Now, looking at this, we all would say that his experience wasn't the best. It was quite terrible to experience. But he didn't let this event shape him, and instead, he would shape the world. Elon Musk, today, he is one of the richest men in the world, bringing in a whopping $9.9 million wage a day. And this money is something that almost all of us will never see in our lives, because $9.9 million a day, it's a pretty big penny, okay? But despite the harassment and despite the torment he went through, Musk became a leader and is now leading hundreds of thousands of people in his multi-million-dollar companies of Tesla and SpaceX. Now, Elon Musk resembles the Google definition far too often, but the next form of leadership only involves yourself, because developing your self-leadership is essential for effective leadership. Without it, our outward leadership cannot thrive. By investing in our personal goals and our ambitions, we can become the best versions of us and establish a foundation for building a successful life. Self-leadership can help us create a society risk-free from mental health issues like depression, anxiety, suicide prevention. And we can find a sense of peace and purpose peace and purpose that drives us forward. Remember, the journey to becoming a great leader starts with investing in yourselves first. I say this again, the Google definition never has to be yours, and you can shape who you are, and the way I found myself was through sports leadership. At a young age, I established myself as a leader and constantly striving to improve my team however means necessary. I may not be a natural-born athlete, but I have been told several times that I possess natural-born leadership qualities from my coaches and from my friends. I focused on building my team up and encouraging them rather than tearing them down. In times of adversity, I was the morale booster and looked up upon by my teammates. Society as a whole is filled with put-me-downs, and when these put-me-downs are put upon us, what do? Do we step forward into the spotlight and take it head on, or do we take a step back and start pointing the finger at others to blame? Leadership holds a multitude of identities, and this is just one of them. Building a team and building a functional society just from helping one man or one woman is leadership. Simple actions can lead to big things in this world. Take Forrest Gump, for example. Now, this may be a dumb question, because judging from the room here, but who in this room has seen Forrest Gump? Show of hands. All right, thank goodness, okay? That is such a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, shame on you. If you have not, for some reason, in a scene, he begins running out of his house, running out of Alabama, and running all across the United States. And this has kind of built him throughout the entire film. People began to question him and question his motives behind running. His response was this: I just felt like running. Hundreds of people followed this man for their personal motives rather than his, and felt compelled to follow in his footsteps. All of us who have seen the movie would not say Forrest Gump was the brightest of the bunch and honestly did not have an IQ of 160. But he still took a leading role by simply putting one foot in front of the other. All of us do not have to lead through running, because more than anyone in this room, I guarantee you, I hate running with a burning passion more than any of you. But you can lead for your motives, because your motives solve your problems and set your foundation for life. Your choice of leadership can spark in others that is a total opposite, and this is what makes America great. This is where all of us can establish a sense of leadership in our lives. Leading doesn't have to be the focal point to others, and can simply just be you leading you. You taking a new journey outside of your comfort zone is leadership. And if you really do, you can take a leading role in a group project, and that is also leadership. Leading, like Steve Harvey said, is a developed set of skills. But let me add on to this just a little bit. Any one of us can define these set skills, because it doesn't have to be identical to someone next to you. Today, you can find your set skills, whether it be dedication and commitment, or whether it's a vocal role where you can lead a business to the brink of financial progress. Leadership has built America, and if it wasn't for these men and women who made their indent, what would we do? Where would you be today? Today, start becoming a leader and stop following and adjusting to others' beliefs. Leading takes courage, and leadership is the future. It brings progress, and with the increase of it, America entirely can feel the ripple effect of unprecedented progress. Be the change you want in the community. Be who you are and not what others want you to be. And don't let anyone tell you what to do in this world, and don't let anyone tell you to change, because instead of changing yourself, you can change the world for the better and make Earth be something much bigger than a sphere. Make the world fit you, and if you can accomplish this, the sky is the limit. Thank you.
There is a saying that I hold true to, is that it takes many nails to build a bridge and one match to burn it down. I have no doubt Noah is going to be a driver of nails as he leaves high school and goes on into his next adventure. Thank you, Noah. Well, Ian Stanley is up next. He is a 5th grade student from Helmsburg Elementary School. He's the son of Matthew and Alyssa Stanley. And in 5th grade, he decided to join the TED Club so he could learn to become a better speaker. Amazing. In his talk, Hobbies, Health, and Happiness, he describes the positive impact hobbies have had in his life and how they have helped him discover who he is. Ian hopes that sharing his experiences will help other people realize how important a hobby can be for them. Give a nice warm welcome to Ian Stanley.
What if everyone in every nation had a hobby? Why? In the U.S. alone, according to Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, 1 out of 5 adults experience a mental health condition in a given year, and 1 in 6 young people experience a major depressive episode during their childhood. According to CDC, Center for Disease Control, in the year 2021, 695,000 people died of heart disease. Those are some tough facts. The good news is, I think I have something that can help. I'd like to see the world become a happier and healthier place. And I think the answer may be similar than many might think. Hobbies. Everyone should have a hobby. Why? There is research to prove that hobbies make people happier and healthier by supporting physical health, social connections, and mental health. What if one day everyone in every nation has a hobby? This could change the world because hobbies are sort of a big deal. Okay, so what is a hobby exactly? According to the Oxford Dictionary, a hobby is something someone does in their leisure time for pleasure. Basically stuff we do just for fun. That's some good news, right? More good news is that hobbies can be anything you enjoy or feel excited about. My personal favorites are listening to music, building with Legos, good music, you know, the stuff from the 70s. Watching and reading comedy and joke books, as well as trying out different skills like drumming or jujitsu. But hobbies could be anything, really. Some people really like traveling, drawing, various sports. I mean, some people even enjoy running. Some hobbies can be free. So, you might be wondering how they can make people healthy physically, socially, and mentally. Well, it's all connected, so let's dive in. No one would argue with the fact that heart health is important to our physical health. In Northwestern Medicine's article, How Happiness Impacts Health, it says that doing things which bring you joy lowers cholesterol. Exercising and being outdoors lowers cholesterol. Physical hobbies can help you stay healthy as you age by helping maintain muscle mass, so you can keep walking and functioning well. Certain hobbies, yoga, hiking, martial arts, and other sports, can help with maintaining a sense of balance by keeping up coordination. This protects against injury as you get old, like me. Hobbies could even increase your life expectancy by keeping you healthy for longer. You might be thinking, sure, this is great for people who enjoy being active, but what about those of us who enjoy more leisure time? Some hobbies can lower cortisol, a stress chemical, and this can help with better blood pressure and helps your heart. Lowering cortisol reduces stress, which can also help control body weight for some people. Any hobby which brings joy can work this magic. Even things like Legos and listening to music for me. But for some people, it could even be things like doing a puzzle or coloring complicated pictures like my sister enjoys doing. Just think, carving out a little time in your day to enjoy something can actually benefit your health. Hobbies can even help your social life, which is another key ingredient to happiness. Some involve taking a class or being on a team. Studies show that social connectedness decreases feelings of loneliness and increases happiness. These hobbies can help you learn how to work with others and learn from others, which could even be something like a robotics club or building forts in the woods. When you work with others toward a shared goal, it builds a sense of togetherness and can protect from feeling lonely. Personally, when I joined the robotics team, I learned a lot about working with others and about myself. Participating in different activities has helped me meet different people as well. According to CDC, having supportive people in your life can help you make healthy life choices when need arises. Joining a club or a class with people with similar interests gives you the ability to create meaningful relationships and helps develop a support system, even if it's just building forts in the woods with your sibling. Hobbies can become opportunities to make some extra money, or even become a full-blown business. Maybe you can bake beautiful desserts. There's an opportunity for a business. You can enjoy your hobby and then make some money to help support your hobby. Maybe you're a musician or enjoy playing in a band. There could be opportunities to play for events such as weddings or parties and make some money doing what you love. If you're particularly skilled at your hobby, maybe you could coach or provide lessons. It's no secret that having a little extra money makes life a little easier. So why not see if one of your hobbies could bring in some cash? I haven't tried this yet, but who knows? Maybe someday. Last but not least, maybe the most important reason for hobbies is that hobbies can be the best for your mental health. Hobbies can have many stress-reducing qualities, which is something that we all really need. Hobbies are fun, and when you're having fun, the body releases endorphins. For me, building Star Wars scenes with Legos or designing epic marble runs is super fun. For some people, it might be hang gliding or making a pair of shoes like my dad. Endorphins make us feel happy and less stressed. People who have hobbies often experience less depression too, and nobody wants to be depressed all the time. And some hobbies are calming and allow the brain to rest, while some are active and require lots of thinking. But if it's fun, it helps lessen stress and can increase our overall health. Another way hobbies can benefit mental health is that many times they promote creativity. Some hobbies like writing, drawing, acting, and playing and singing can help us express our thoughts and feelings and can even help people bring out their sense of humor. Now, where would we be without a little comic relief from time to time, right? Hobbies like playing board games, video games, cubing, puzzles, and others can help build problem-solving skills, which will build confidence when problems arise in life. Persevering through challenges is one of the greatest indicators of success, and being able to face them as well as learn from them is a huge part in self-esteem, which connects to happiness. Basically, hobbies help stimulate the brain and help you think more clearly. Now let's be honest. We could all use a little more of that. You might be thinking, yeah, this is great for a kid who doesn't have a job or other adult responsibilities, but what about us important and busy adults with our big responsibilities? Research shows that taking time out of a busy day for some enjoyment and leisure can actually make people more productive in other responsibilities and to think more creatively when faced with a challenge. So, there's no excuse. Hobbies are so meaningful that some of us take them for granted. Even though it's easy to think that people with hobbies are just those with lots of free time, actually the ones that need hobbies the most are the busy ones like all of you adults. You guys are the best people in the world, but also the most stressed people in the world. Now you need a hobby. Imagine a life without air. It's the same as a life without a good hobby. So just go get one. Just press play. You'll be glad you did.
All right, so our next speaker is someone with a profound dedication to both education and community.
She is a sister of Providence from St. Mary of the Woods and currently serves as vicar and general treasurer of the congregation. With nearly 40 years in administrative roles, she has made a significant impact on education at both secretariat and collegiate levels.
She's also the founder of the Cristo Rey School of Indianapolis, a testament to her belief that miracles can occur if we hold students to high standards and be a community for them.
Please welcome Sister Jean Hagelskamp as she shares her inspiring insights on the transformative power of education and community.
Well, good afternoon. It's my privilege to be here with you this afternoon. And before I begin in earnest, I have 3 caveats. First, the stories that I will tell today are true, but I will be using pseudonyms. Second, I have been in college prep schools most of my life, and so the examples that I am giving are from those schools. But I want you to know that I fully recognize that not every student will be college-bound, and I think the lessons of today are applicable to any school setting. And third, I want you to know that as I was driving here this morning, it came to my mind that probably I'm preaching to the choir because you're in this audience today. So I say, just sit back and pat yourselves on the back as I move through my presentation. I've spent nearly 45 years in education as teacher, administrator, teacher of prospective teachers and administrators, and accreditation evaluator. And over, I have seen the significant difference and miracles that happen when schools become more than just educational institutions, when they in fact become what I've come to call communities of care. In fact, I believe that those people in schools who genuinely care play a pivotal role, or to use the language of today, hold a remote control, a powerful one, in the lives of our students. And I had that validated just a couple of weeks ago. I was in St. Louis with some friends, and we were in a hibachi restaurant, and there sat a young man with his younger brother and some of his friends. And the young man was counseling them about what courses they should take next year in school, going so far as to say what foreign language they should study based on the teacher who taught it. I couldn't help myself. I knew I was going to be here today, and so I couldn't resist. And so I asked, "May I ask why you recommended the teacher that you did?" And without a moment's hesitation, the young man replied, "Because she cares." I've been in schools for a long time, and most of that time I've been in economically challenged communities where things are tough. One of those schools was on the west side of Chicago, smack dab in the heart of where the riots had been in the 60s. There, Providence St. Mel sat as a beacon of light in the community, in the midst of burnt-out buildings, gangbangers, drug dealers, and houses of prostitution. But it was there that I learned one very important lesson that I want to convey today. Lesson number 1, hold high expectations for all students and give them the support that they need. They'll come to realize that you believe in them and care for them and it will transform their lives. So what kinds of high expectations am I talking about? Honestly, they're really pretty simple. At Providence St. Mel, although we were a college prep school, many of our students came to us 2 or 3 grades below level. Sammy was one such student. He came to us reading at 4th or 5th grade level, I can't remember for sure. So in addition to enrolling him in a freshman English class, we also put him in a reading class. His reading teacher, Mary, of course, worked with him every day during class, but often she worked with him after school as well. Sometimes at his request, sometimes at her request. They did this day after day, week after week, and it all paid off. Once Sammy learned to read, it was like the whole world of education had opened up to him. And he began to read really well. You see, he knew that Mary believed in him and really believed that he could learn to read at grade level. And so he did. He graduated, and several years later, when he came back to the school to visit, I asked him what he was doing, and he said to me, "I'm working on my doctorate." Then there was Marcus. Marcus transferred into our school as a sophomore because his mother wanted to get him out of the neighboring school. She was afraid that he was going to get involved in gangs. And at Providence St. Mel, there was no time to get involved in gangs. Needless to say, Marcus was not very motivated because he didn't want to be there. But as basketball season got a little bit closer, he began to think that maybe he'd like to play ball. Well, we knew, looking at his grades, that that wasn't going to happen anytime soon because his grades were atrocious. But his English teacher, Lori, took him aside one afternoon, and together they sat down and figured out what grades he would need in each class and what grades he thought he could reasonably get in each class if he really studied hard and stayed focused. And they agreed that he could sit in the back of her classroom every day after school to study so that he had the environment he needed. Well, that happened day after day, week after week, and sure enough, Marcus became eligible to play ball. Even after he was eligible, he continued to sit in the back of her room because he knew she cared about him, had set realistic expectations for him, and had given him the environment that he needed to be successful. Today, he is Dr. Marcus Miller and serves as Associate Dean of Social Sciences in the college where he works. These high expectations at Providence St. Mel have benefited many students. For the past 42 years, every senior in that school has been accepted to college. And in 2015, every senior was accepted into a Tier 1 college, Yale, Harvard, etc. Why? It's not magic. It's because people believed in them, set expectations that were high but realistic, and gave them the support they needed. And so those students began to believe in themselves. And when that belief happens, that's when the small miracles occur and the transformation of lives begins. Teachers, administrators, parents, you hold one of the most important remote controls in the lives of our students by holding high expectations and believing in them. Students will know that you care about them, and they will begin to believe in themselves, and that's when the miracles happen. Lesson number 2, never underestimate the power of words. In a community of care, every word might make a difference. When I was at Providence St. Mel, I taught math, physics, and computer programming. the latter to students in grades 5 through 12. So as you can imagine, every day after school, my classroom was, let's call it a circus. Some students needing help with math and physics, the little ones back at the computers trying to figure out their elementary programs, and my seniors in advanced programming really doing some complex coding, such as the animation program that was a tour of the school. That was Jackie's program. Often, it seemed, I would be helping a student with some of the math or physics or whatever, and one of the little ones in the back of the room would say, Sister Jean, can you come help me? And I'd say, just a minute, let me finish here. And with that, I'd see Jackie get up, go over and help the student, and go back to her program. This didn't happen just once, it seemed to happen frequently. One evening after school, as I was about to call it quits for the day, I noticed that Jackie was the last one at the computers, just getting ready to power it down. And I said to her, Jackie, I just want to tell you how much I admire you. You know, it seems like so often when I'm working with somebody and one of the little ones needs help, you just get up, go over and help them, and then go back to your seat. And I just want to thank you for your quiet leadership. Now, I'm not saying that so that you'll feel compelled to continue to do it, because I know you have a program due to me in a couple of weeks, and it's massive. But I really just want to say a sincere and heartfelt thank you to you for being the person that you are. That was it. An innocent but sincere thank you. Or so I thought. Jackie graduated, she went on to college, and we asked her to come back and help with senior retreat. I couldn't be there the day that she talked because I had to be in an administrator's meeting. But when I showed up later in the afternoon, some of the faculty were out in the parking lot, and they said to me, "Oh, Jean, we wish you had been here this morning to hear Jackie's talk." I said, "Yeah, I really wanted to hear it. I'm going to have to ask her if I can read the script." "Oh, no, you don't understand," they said. You see, Jackie told the seniors that she was contemplating taking her own life. And then one day in the computer room, you told her how much you admired her for being the person that she was. She said she went home that night and she decided, if Sister Jean sees some good in me, then there's good in me. And she never thought about it again. I tell that story in great humility, but I learned one of the biggest lessons of my life that day. When our schools are communities of care, every word we say might make a difference. And the impact of a powerful remark, a positive remark, might change the trajectory of a life forever. It was a lesson that I learned quite by chance, but it was a lesson that I have taught every prospective teacher and administrator since then. Teachers, administrators, parents, students, community members, every one of us holds a remote control in the lives of our students by what we choose to say to them. We need to be careful to choose our words wisely, for in doing so, we empower them to recognize their own self-worth. Lesson number 3. Some days, the greatest lesson of all cannot be found in the textbook. It's the lesson of lavish love. At one of our schools that opened several years ago, Ella transferred in as a sophomore. And in May of that year, on Mother's Day, in fact, her mother was tragically murdered in the presence of Ella and her younger sister. On Monday morning, as I was driving to school, I was listening to the news and I heard the end of a news report about the murder. And while I didn't catch the name, I recognized the street name as the one on which Ella lived. When we took attendance that morning, Ella showed up absent, and so I began to fear the worst. We made a phone call to the home, and there was no answer. When I finally connected with Ella and heard about the tragedy, through my tears, I offered my condolences and then asked what we could possibly do to help her. Sister Jean, she said, I think I might want to come to school later this afternoon. I was like, Ella, school? Don't even worry about it. Whenever it is that you want to return to school, we will do whatever we have to do to catch you up. Please don't let that worry you now. No, Sister Jean, she said, I really think I might want to come, but my school shoes are in the house, and it's still a crime scene, so we can't go in. I said to her, Ella, I don't care if you come in your swimsuit. If you want to come to school, come. Then we met with faculty and students to tell them about the tragedy and prepare them for whatever might happen later that day. I wish you could have been here that day, and the day after that, and the day after that. Our faculty and students and administrators wrapped Ella in love and did everything they possibly could to support her and comfort her in her pain. And in the weeks and months thereafter, other parents, community members, our corporate work study sponsors stepped forward to walk with her and comfort her. Today, Ella is happily married to one of her classmates, one who showed her exceptional love and care during those difficult years. They have 2 beautiful children, and Ella teaches preschool. I have no doubts but that the love and care that we showered on Ella gave her at least some hope and confidence when she was down and out. And I know, without a doubt, that the love and care we gave her was infinitely more important than any textbook learning that happened those days. Teachers, administrators, parents, students, community members, please lavish your students with love when tragedy happens, when their hearts are breaking. In doing so, you empower them to have hope in their darkest moments. By now, I think it's clear, none of us holds a remote control alone. It takes every one of us, the entire community, to give the students the love and the care that they need. Because when we do that, they have the confidence to become their greatest selves, to dream the dreams that they have for themselves, to create movies for themselves of their lives that they'll be proud of for years to come. And while they will hold the lead roles in those movies of life, each one of us plays a crucial supporting role in those movies. So, let's do all that we can to love and care for our students, because in doing so, we may just be holding the remote that enables those small miracles to happen, the miracles that have the potential to transform their lives forever. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, you guys have been a fantastic audience. Turn to your neighbor and say, you are still looking good. Right? You guys look great from here. And I want to encourage you to stay for the next 3 speakers. That's what we have left. And then outside, after our 3rd speaker, you're going to find some interactive activities and some food trucks waiting on you. And there's more fun to come. So we appreciate your hanging in there with us. And now it's my pleasure. We have another senior from Brown County High School, and her name is Avienda Cox. And she is passionate about helping others find love within themselves and the beautiful world around us. She really is a beautiful young lady. She shares her research in the laws of the universe, along with actionable steps you get to take to see the magic happen. Her talk is titled Pressing Play on Self-Love, Syncing with the Universe's Rhythm. Please put your hands together and welcome Avienda Cox.
4 years ago, I was a freshman in high school, and it was the worst year of my life. I rarely slept, I rarely ate, I rarely got dressed for the day, I just stayed in my PJs. I didn't take care of myself. I gave all my love to people who, 1, didn't deserve it, and 2, who weren't even capable of giving that same love back to me. I thought that everyone else was better than me. I thought that these people deserve so much more than I do because I'm just me. I was fine being a side character in my own movie. And after I had to leave home, not only did I still not care about myself, I stopped caring about others too. I let myself rot in self-pity and hatred. Then, one day, as I'm crying on the floor all alone in this new city, about to make the worst decision of my life, the universe said, Avienda, enough. I did not give you the name Avienda for you to be a nobody. I did not give you the biggest heart so you could hold love for everybody but yourself. I did not put you on this earth and give you so many things to be grateful for you to play the victim and let negativity plague your mind. The universe had had enough, and I decided soon after that I did too. Then I discovered the very thing I want to talk to you all about today. Drumroll, please. And that is love. Now, we've all been taught certain things about love. Maybe it's that you don't feel worthy of love, or that love is something you have to earn, you have to work for it. Maybe you can't have love until you look a certain way, and maybe you cringe every time I say the word love. Whatever your opinion of love is, it's valid, but I want to share with you what I believe to be true about love. I believe that love is not something you earn. Love is natural and a part of all of us. Love is not scarce, only comes once in a lifetime. Love is abundant and around all of us. We could send love to every single person on this earth and still have a heart full of it. And love does not find you when you look a certain way. Just like every other feeling and emotion, everyone experiences them no matter what you look like. And if you feel unworthy, well, I'm here to prove you very, very, very wrong by a simple statistic. The chances of you being born is 1 in 400 trillion. That number is 4 with 48 zeros to follow. And since that's still really hard to comprehend, at least for me, let's take the likelihood of you winning the lottery, for example. The likelihood of you winning the lottery is 1 in 300 million. Now, the likelihood of you being born is winning that lottery 1.33 million times. Life is the greatest gift of all, and you get the privilege to live it. But most of us aren't truly living. We're definitely not thriving. We are simply surviving. Now, how do we thrive instead of survive in this universe? We follow its laws. When I first learned about the laws of the universe, I thought there was some hippy-dippy theory. I didn't really pay attention to them. But then I said, you know what? I'm growing so much as a person right now. I've heard before that knowledge is power, and trying something new wouldn't hurt. So I let go of what I thought before and started learning about them with an open mind. I started applying them to my life, and I got to see the magic happen. According to Dr. Herbert Harris, there are 12 laws of the universe. I'm going to share with you the first 4, along with actionable steps I encourage you to take. Remember, this is your life, and you get the privilege to do whatever you want to do with it. So I encourage you to let go of what you've been taught before and just listen to me with an open mind. Here we go. The first law is the law of divine oneness, which basically means that everything is connected. You and every person in this room is connected. We all came from one source, which has lots of theories in of itself. But the bottom line is we all have a heart, we all have a brain, and we all have roughly the same anatomy, which are the need for food and water, just like plants and animals do. We are all connected. Connecting back to divine oneness might be the easiest law. Go out in nature, spend time with your family, hug a tree, give your pets extra love and attention, water your plants, do something kind for a stranger, feel that connection to others and to love in every corner of your body and honor it. Then boom, you just connected to the power of the universe by simply stepping outside. It's that easy. The second law is the law of vibration. The book Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King said it best. He said that everything is made up of atoms, and every little atom has a little vibration. The vibration of these atoms makes energy. This energy is constantly in motion, and everything is vibrating at a certain frequency. This one definitely sounds a little hippy-dippy, but just hear me out. Think of a radio. You have to tune into a certain frequency, a certain station, to hear the song you want. If you don't hear that song, you hear a different song. The same goes for manifesting things and experiences into your life. You have to match its vibrational frequency. A good way to understand and be aware of your vibe is through your emotions. This is the Hertz frequency chart, also known as the vibrational scale of consciousness. A study said that most humans fall at 250, which is neutral. But let's be honest, with all the distractions in the world, most of us actually fall from 250 to 100. We experience things like anger and desire more than we experience love and joy. And I'm not saying that feeling anger or desire is a bad thing. Anger is our body's way of communicating with us that a boundary has been crossed. Desire, it produces motivation because it shows us what could be. But just like everything, we need a healthy balance. Our frequency is always going to fluctuate, just like our emotions do, and that's okay. Emotions are literally just energy in motion. It's our intention behind our emotions and how we react that determines our frequency. We could feel anger, but then we could feel love because our bodies actually cause us to physically feel a certain way to protect us. My homework for you is to check in with yourself. You can journal, write it down, or just be aware of it. And when you start feeling an emotion that is lower than 250, I want you to let your body feel it and then say thank you. I know it sounds a little silly, but as humans, we learn best by humanizing other things. So humanize your body. Tell it thank you and take care of it. When you do this, you send a message to yourself, a message that says, I love and care about you. You are worthy of my love and my attention. And when you feel loved and cared for, you are unstoppable. And that is exactly what we need more of in this world. You deserve your own attention. The third law is the law of correspondence. Your external reality is a reflection of your internal reality. When we experience something internally, our subconscious looks and things in our outer world that confirms what we've experienced. Nothing can change without if there's no change within. If you want to live an abundant life, you have to start thinking abundant thoughts. This is where I encourage you to create an alter ego. But to create an alter ego, we first have to understand what an ego is. The definition of an ego, according to Oxford Languages, is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Psychoanalysis said that your ego is a part of your mind that travels from your conscious state and unconscious state. It's responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. So, to create an alter ego, change how you view your current reality. Change your mindset. And then your ego will have no choice but to test this new reality. Since your ego is responsible for your identity, then identify with a new one. Write down everything this new you does down to the very outfit they wear. Ask yourself questions like, what are their jobs? What is the number in their bank account? Who are the people they choose to surround themselves with? Write down every little thing because always remember, the universe responds to detail. The fourth law is the law of attraction. This law is exactly how it sounds. It also ties in the first three. In order to understand how we feel about something, we all ask ourselves the same question when meeting someone new. What do we have in common? And that is the first law, the law of divine oneness. And in order to attract something, you have to match its vibration. its energy, like we learned in the second law. When we meet someone new who matches our energy or our vibe, we constantly feel attracted to them. And to attract things and experiences into our life, we first have to resonate and show interest in a thought or idea we have, and then believe it can happen to us. That's the third law, the law of correspondence. For this last law, you simply have to take action. My homework for you is to do something your alter ego would do. My alter ego would go out of our comfort zone and give a big speech in front of a bunch of people I don't know. So go me. I said in the beginning of my speech that everyone has an opinion of love. Maybe it's changed, maybe it's the same, but if you take action and follow the tools I've given you, you will feel more love every day and see it more. You will be a part of making this world a better place by being a source for more love worldwide. And following these laws not only make the world a better place, but they also send a message to yourself saying, I am worth my own time and attention. You have so much power, use it. Plant little love seeds all around you, including deep in your own heart. Guide yourself and those around you back to the very thing that makes up all of us, and that is love. Thank you.
All right, one more time for Avi Cox. Now, I hate to go off script here, but Avi was one of my first students I ever taught when I was student teaching here at Brown County. And man, she's just a light in the classroom, a light in the hallways. She's just a light all around. So again, like, what a great individual she is. Okay. Our next speaker is someone that proves that age is just a number when it comes to making a difference.
She's a second grade student at Sprinica Elementary and a proud dog mom to Millie, who has inspired her and taught her many valuable life lessons.
She believes in a foundational truth, right? You are never too young or too old to make a difference. Please welcome our youngest TEDx speaker of the evening, Willa Quintera.
Have you ever been told you're too young to do this or you're too young to do that? Hi, I'm Willa Quintera. I'm 8 years old. Being 8 means lots of people think I can't do things because I'm young. Do you remember that feeling, being told you were too young? Let me remind you of what it's like. I wanted to train my dog to sit and lie down, but some people told me I wouldn't be able to do it since I was so young. And our dog, Millie, was so hyper. And she is hyper. But teaching her to sit and lie down would make a big difference in our house because she wouldn't be as much of a tornado. I didn't like being told I was too young. And I want you to know that you are never too young or old to make a difference. I want to introduce you to some other young people who have made a difference. Shelby O'Neill invented the No Straw November Challenge. She challenged people not to use straws for just 1 month. Only 1 month. What kind of difference can that make? Well, in 1 year, it is estimated that 500 million disposable straws are used, which averages out to about 42 million per month. That's a big number. By choosing not to use a straw, a really small act, we help keep plastics out of the environment. At only 15, she inspires us not to use straws and make a difference with that one small choice. I'm only 8, and I can do that too. I can make a difference by not using straws. I try to use reusable straws now, and so can you. Addie Farmer and Lainey Randall are some more kids who made a huge difference. They were in Portland, Maine, and they were 14 years old when they went to their community to do a beach cleanup. They saw how much trash was left on the beach, and they wanted to clean it up. Many people said it wouldn't make a difference. But guess what? They picked up almost 8,000 pieces of trash. When it was done, the community continued to pick up trash monthly in their community. It even continues to this day. Can you imagine 8,000 pieces of trash each month? because you were brave enough to think that you could make a difference on your own. And then others joined in and continued doing it. That's a lot of trash. And none of it goes into the ocean because these young ladies didn't let being young stop them. These stories were in the news, but did you know kids here in Brown County make a difference each day at school? We practice recycling every day in our classrooms. We decide if something should be trash or if it can be recycled. You know what? No one has ever told us we're too young to make a difference. In fact, we don't even think about our ages as we make these choices. We just see that it needs to be done and we do it. No questions, no worries about age, we just do it. I'm not going to let age stop me, and neither should you. When people tell me I'm too young to make a difference, I'm going to be like Addie and Lainey and not listen to them. I'm going to do it anyway. And with my dog, Billy, I did just that. I didn't listen to the host who told me I was too young. I worked with her after school until dinner each night for months. Now she's not perfect, but she's improving each day. Gets better and better. If I quit, she'd be crazy. I'm going to keep working with her even though I'm only 8. It's going to keep making a difference for her and our family. And I challenge you not to let age stop you. You are never too young or old to make a difference. Just press play.
Good afternoon, everyone. What an inspiration, right? Gosh, can we give another hand for all of our students and presenters? They're great. Great. Well, I'm so excited to be here today. I'm Tiffany Etter. I'm the marketing director for Anthem Indiana Medicaid, and we are so proud to be a part of this program today. We are extremely proud and also humbled by our 80-year legacy as Indiana's local health plan. Our 5,000 associates work hard every day to provide access to affordable, quality health care and help the people that we're privileged to serve navigate what can be a pretty complicated healthcare landscape sometimes. Our number one priority, though, has always been to improve health and wellness of our members and also our communities. Anthem would like to take this opportunity to thank Brown County School Systems and specifically Emily Tracy for all she has done for this community, as well as to bring this TEDx here today. Give her a hand. You've probably heard already that this is the first ever TEDx in Indiana, and hopefully not the last. I'd also like to take just a moment to recognize somebody that is special, a friend to Anthem, and probably many of you know her here in Brown County. She's a Brown County School System 21-year veteran teacher, and also a 2024 Indianapolis Colts classroom quarterback finalist, Michelle Joy. We're so glad you're here today, Michelle, and that we got to recognize you in this way. What in the world is an Anthem, an Indianapolis classroom quarterback? It is a program that we have teamed up with the Indianapolis Colts to recognize teachers, administrators, nurses, other school support staff who are making a difference in their communities, going above and beyond the normal day job at their school to really make a difference for their communities. And we're so fortunate to have both Michelle and Emily doing just that, I'm sure, along with many of their colleagues. So congratulations to both of you again. And speaking of the Indianapolis Colts, I would like to introduce today's next speaker, Mr. Kenny Moore II, who is the cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts. I hope by now you've had a chance to read his bio in the program, but if not, let me start by saying he is a force to be reckoned with. He is a force on the field, and you might not know he's a force off the field, and a force for good. His journey to the NFL is a testament of his unwavering dedication, and relentless work ethic. While attending Valdosta State University, Kenny was named a two-time All-Gulf South Conference performer, and in 2015 and 2016 was named an All-American. Shortly after 2017, the Indianapolis Colts claimed Kenny, and since this time, he has been a Pro Bowler, a Top 100 player, and a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. Off the field, he is a role model and community leader. His commitment to making a difference extends beyond the gridiron. He actively engages in charitable endeavors and strives to uplift and inspire others. Whether volunteering his time, advocating for social justice, or mentoring youth, Kenny embodies the values of integrity, compassion, and resilience. As he continues to excel in the NFL, Kenny Moore II remains dedicated to pushing boundaries, defying expectations, and leaving a legacy both on and off the field. We are so proud to welcome Kenny Moore II to the stage today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Are we good? Can y'all hear me? Okay, I can hear myself now. Thanks to my escort there. Everybody, I'm Kenny Moore II, and I will speak to you about passion fueling potential. Hopefully, I can draw out a timeline of events about my life and let you see the choices I made along the way on how I'm standing right here before you. What you're looking at over here, it's little Kenny. Picture day on the left, picture day on the far right. But in the middle specifically, it's little Kenny in second grade. Working hard, trying to get good grades. And speaking of hard work, I learned exactly what that was and saw exactly what that represented at a very young age. My mother, Angela, she was that representation for me, seeing what hard work really was and what that was all about. She worked 30 plus years in Valdosta, Georgia, for retail, grocery store, for 7 kids. So where's Miss Emily? I don't know where you are, but you get the 7 best kids in Brown County, form a 707 team. I got a team for you. Me seeing my mom work that hard for that long, it set the foundation for my mentality. That mentality of how I wanted to attack life. I'm the only boy, 6 sisters. That's the reaction I wanted. You can imagine how crazy the house was. You've probably seen Cheaper by the Dozen. Great movie you should watch. And my sisters forced me to play football, sports. Can you imagine? Football, basketball, baseball was the rotation every year as a kid. And when one sport ended, I would go into the next. When the other ended, I would go into the next. But in high school, basketball was a sport that I played every single year. Freshman year of high school, I had a classmate and friend named Roy Brown. Roy Brown played soccer in middle school. One of my classmates, he was always talking to me about soccer, and I said, there's no way I'm getting on that soccer field. Somehow, you know how friends are, you know how kids are wanting to play with their friends. I accepted the challenge to play soccer. We made the junior varsity soccer team and had a great year. 2 years later, waited for some upperclassmen to graduate school, and I decided to go out for the track team They said that they needed some students to do field events. So there I was doing 110 hurdles, long jump, triple jump. Somehow, I accepted that challenge, and I see myself at the state finals in Jefferson, Georgia. The night before the state finals track meet, I was getting ready for bed, getting ready to kick butt the next day, and I hear some commotion going on in the room. So I quickly hurry up to whatever I was doing to get back to the room just to see what was going on. And I hear my coach and one of my teammates talking about something that my teammate had done earlier that night. My teammate, he was my hurdle buddy. We were going to race together in the same heat the next day, and he was the star guy of the track team, and he was actually the star guy of the football team. He was the starting corner. Well, a couple of weeks went by, and me and that teammate, we were in the same chemistry class of Mrs. McClendon. We sat at the back of the classroom. He sat behind me. He began to talk to me about his hardships of what he had just lost, track, football, and the scholarship that came with it. Us being friends, he said, why don't you just go on up for the football team? They need a corner. You already played soccer, you already played basketball, you already ran track, and somehow you got to the state finals in 1 year. I said, no, no chance, no chance. Too small, don't know anything about football. And it was just too much for me. So we were about a couple weeks before spring training. Somehow I accepted that challenge. With little experience or exposure or recruitment stars, I wound up at Valdosta State. Thank you, David Dean, Coach Belt, Coach Seth Wallace, for taking a leap out on faith for a local kid. And that paid off to me becoming a two-time All-American at 2 different positions. A couple months later, third day of the draft, after being at Valdosta State for 4 years, I have a phone call earlier that morning. And on the other line, there's a coach. He was telling me, we like your college film. We think you would be a good fit for us, and we won't be able to draft you. And if you agree with me right now, you will be telling me that if you don't get drafted, you're coming right here. So I make a few phone calls to my agent, call him back and say, hey, coach, it's Kenny. I'll take that. So I did. I became a New England Patriot. That's what I expected. But can you imagine, small town kid from Valdosta, Georgia, 21 years old, just turning professional, just getting the hang of things, got 5 years underneath my belt, playing football, learning how to do it the right way. Just got my foot in the door after telling myself that I was too small to play. Being an All-American, becoming undrafted, and by the end of training camp, I had worked so hard to being promoted to the second team on the defense. I'm at the peak of my mountain, ready to make this roster, ready to make the team with the reigning Super Bowl champs. I was set up perfectly. This is going the way I want it until I got cut, fired. And that moment hurt. To finally realize that I wasn't good enough. However, during this stint in New England, I began to connect some dots before leaving. So rookie year, and every team does this, rookie year, for all the rookies, they gather them up at the end of the day, and we have rookie seminars. So we'll go through this chapter of wisdom and advice of how to become a professional and how to do it the right way. In New England, we had a couple speakers come in to us to speak about whatever it was. My last speaker in New England made the biggest impression on me. It was around this time right now of OTAs and spring training, right before the summer hit. This speaker gave us an exercise to do right before we went home. He said, whenever you get home, get out a sheet of paper. And on that sheet of paper, from left to right, you draw a line. Below the line, write out your bad days, failures, anything you aren't good at, anything that has happened in a negative way but was important to you. Above the line, you write out your success. You write out your achievements, your accolades, anything that you were proud of. When you're done with this timeline, you take a step back. You gain an overview of the entire paper. And with these good and bad events happening, you're showing yourself of what has shaped you to be where you are in the moment you are in your life. I was sitting in the second row of this team meeting auditorium. Just began to think. I began to think that I had more in life to do. There was more in life of who I wanted to become. It made me believe that I was here to serve a bigger purpose. I see my receiver motioning to the other side of the field. We began to make adjustments to the defense. I stare back to the offense. The quarterback says hike to the ball. Say hike. He snaps the ball. It's a pass play. My assignment changed. As I see the running back running towards me, I periff him, then periff back to the quarterback. Look at the running back, then look back at the quarterback. The quarterback is under pressure. As he dropped back to throw the ball before getting sacked, the running back makes a move. I make a move with him. The ball is in the air. Somebody got to get it. Before the running back can adjust to the ball, I jump in front of him. The ball is in my hands. As I began to run the other way, check my blind spot. He doesn't get me. My lead blockers running up the field as the quarterback and the offensive lineman are trying to beat me to the sideline. I see an opening from myself to the end zone. I'm about 40 yards away. I cut back. I can smell the end zone. I run as fast as I could and I score, and I just do the dance that I always loved to do growing up. I realize my family's in the stand. I point at them, they point at me, like we're in the backyard all over again. Put up some points for my team. That's all I ever wanted to do. Game's not over. Third quarter hit. I see jet motion coming in from the other side of the field. I have some communication to the corner. Here it is. It's another pass play. The quarterback is under trouble again. He's in trouble. He overthrows the running back, and it's in my hands again. This is a dream. I snatch the ball tight. Before I can get tackled, he just grabs my towel. He misses. As I began to run down the sideline, I can hear my grandmother saying, "Go, go, 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 go." Like we're still watching the game growing up in the living room. It's just me in the end zone. I run my fastest. Stadium lights up. It's loud. Then all of a sudden, it's silent. I can't hear anything at this point. I'm speechless. I don't know what to do. But thank God. I don't know if you know what a Pick 12 is, but at my position, it's one of those days where you can only dream about. And to do this at the highest stage of a dream as a child, it was magical. Having 6 points in the second quarter, having 6 points in the third quarter was just enough for us to win. This Pick 12 moment led me to realize that in the long run, I could only pick one. That one being this one life. This passion that I have that has created a potential of opportunities I needed an ultimate challenge to accept. I choose legacy. I choose purpose. I choose love. And since then, I've started my own foundation. You see, running around in Lucas Oil with my friends and people that I love, it's been great. It's been a sense of fulfillment. But helping others and doing things like being here today, it brings me more fulfillment. You see, students, I chose to rise above any obstacle, any naysayer who filled my head with negativity. I didn't let anything below the timeline define who I was. You hold the remote control to your life, no one else. Things you want to achieve or someone you want to become, accept the challenge and just press play. With love, thank you.
Okay, how about this day? Are you leaving feeling so inspired? Wow.
Oh my goodness. I will tell you, someone really, really close to me always reminds me every single day to don't let perfect get in the way of something really, really great. Today was really, really great. Really great. There are only 2 more things that I want to be able to share with all of you today, and one of them is our TED Club kids. So we have had so many kids in each one of our schools. They're a part of their TED Club, which is an after-school club, and they did something just as incredible as all the speakers that were on stage here today. So if you are here in the audience, TED Club kids, I want you to very carefully make your way down here, and why don't you come up on this stage? Yeah. Just. Yes. Our TEDx speakers, youth speakers, you come out on stage. Come down this way. Yes, thank you. So these kids are something amazing, and I will tell you, they all took a risk this year, and they discovered a passion, something that they're incredibly passionate about, and they wrote a TED Talk, and they did research, and they practiced the delivery and the presentation, and they have amazing TED Ed leaders, which are our teachers. So if you all could come out, as you play a very pivotal role. They've all done something pretty amazing. And, you know, I started today telling you about 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, I learned that school can look different. Today's school absolutely is different. We press play today. I have something for all of you guys, but we have 2 seniors that got up on the stage today to give their very first TED Talk. Avi Cox and Lily Shekels, if you could come to the circle. Thanks to our incredible sponsors, Mainstream has partnered with us to be able to give any senior that comes each year and gives their TED Talk on the TEDx stage here at Brown County Schools, they receive $1,000 to use for the Monday morning after graduation for anything they choose. So congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. We press play today.
Emily, could you come to the circle, please? So on behalf of all these kids, teachers, principals, volunteers, Christian Webb, thank you for the use of your beautiful music center. We're so proud of this facility, and everybody on stage and our audience, we want to thank you for championing this event for Brown County Schools. Our Brown County kids are worth it, y'all, and we're thankful we have Emily.
Thank